And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China!
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China! All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China!
Russian.
Russia!
Italian.
Italy!
German.
Germany!
Swedish.
Sweden!
Korean.
Korea!
Egyptian.
Egypt!
Nigerian.
Nigeria!
Black.
Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing. Yes.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
The lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. They want us to sell our souls to barter profit, like God's property. It's hard to market, so we steady to aim, keep your eyes on target. 'Cause when you got to drive, yeah, they'd rather you park it. But I don't valet, you ain't getting these keys. I'm keeping closed hands, I'm on bended knee. I'm just a reflection, dealing with 8 sections. Art mixed with life, you can feel the convection. Your lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the
if you cannot speak and talk about the history of who they are, then they will not really carry your story. They will not understand their story. So today, the first thing I was the greatest revelation I was telling you a while back, is that most people trying to reach, and I'm going to specifically talk today, and next week will be Spanish, the following week the Asian, etc. But I'm going to talk specifically today about the black culture. And I wanted to right now, I know, and how many would agree that I am not black? Can I get a witness, everybody? Amen. Praise God. Praise God. Pretty white to me. Can I get an amen up in here? Yeah. Praise God. Amen. So here's the deal. But what I want to share with you is I want to talk to you about is that, you know, we went across the country and we found out there's certain things that help reach that culture and reach it effectively. And there's certain things that don't make it happen. Okay. And today I would like to talk about those things that do reach the culture, specifically the men of the culture. And the first thing I found out is this. I found out that they do not know their history. That's one of the things that I know. And so you have to tell them their history. So today I'm going to attempt to do that.
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black.
The white man is enacting a story all over the world. We left our homes and flooded the world. We smothered culture. We smothered knowledge. We erased history and rewrote it our way. Myself, my grandfather is 100% Ashkenazi Jewish. Claiming to be Jewish, Ashkenazi Jewish is just a conspiracy. White men claiming to be of tribes of Israel when I'm Germanic. You know, I have no ties to Israel, no ties to Judaism. You know, except loosely written history that's been whitewashed over for centuries. And, you know,
from the Renaissance.
Oh yeah, right. You wipe everything clean. It's funny how exactly the Renaissance. It's this rebirth, but it's white rebirth. I think at the same exact time the Renaissance is happening, Columbus is sailing to America and committing genocide.
Only one true ethnic Jew, the Mizrahi Jew, because they are Africans, and if you read the original Bible written in Phoenician Hebrew, they're not. Jewish people are not Europeans. The modern Jews in Israel are Russians or Khazars to be precise, from Russia. I learned it from my grandfather that he was because he was an Ashkenazi Jew.
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black.
You know what you are? You're an ancient Israelite.
Ancient Israel, that's who we are. That's who we are. So if you give me time, if you give me time, all that he said,
no, we don't have
so many years.
I know. Look at this. This is pages and pages of notes. And I promise we'll give more teaching. But here is my challenge to you.
All right.
I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible.
Yes.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites or you want to be Jews? Do you want to remain ancient Israelites or you want to be Jews? Do you want to?
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black.
The true Jews of Israel are your black ancestors, are your black ancestors, are your black ancestors. The true Jews of Israel are your black ancestors. You think you and Kyle make TikToks together? Kyle only cares about money. Think about it. Are you really making TikToks together, or is Kyle profiting off of you? It's just like the lost tribes of Israel. It's just like the lost tribes of Israel.
I was noticing that you're kind of hanging out a lot with Kyle lately. Is there a problem with that? No, I think it's amazing. It's awesome that someone like you could be okay with someone like him, given all the new information lately. You know, the stuff that's come out about how the Jews stole the black race's identity? That the lost tribes of Judah were actually all Africans? You didn't hear about this? Black people are actually the Jews and people like Kyle have taken that from them? Stop talking to me. When the Jews came to America to escape persecution in World War II, they found that blacks were already the underclass in America. So they had to invent a story for themselves which they could make everyone believe because Kyle runs Hollywood.
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black and the vernacular that we're supposed to have. When the schools suggested like the herding systems, because what they do is take the black community and they separate us, and they separate the families, and the educated, they push this, need for higher education, and us as blacks, we discriminate against each other and say, well, I got my PhD and you don't have your PhD, so I'm better than you, and
I say roll, Jordan, roll, roll, Jordan, roll. My soul will rise ever, Lord, for the year, Jordan, roll. I say roll, Jordan, roll, roll, Jordan, roll. My soul will rise ever, Lord, for the year, Jordan, roll. I say roll, Jordan, roll, roll, Jordan, roll. My soul will rise ever, Lord, for the year, Jordan, roll. I say roll, Jordan, roll, roll, Jordan, roll. My soul will rise ever, Lord, for the year, Jordan, roll.
Bondage equaling slavery. Satan meant slave master. King Jesus meant slave benefactor. Babylon meant winter. Hell meant farthest south. Jordan, the first step to freedom. Israelites meant enslaved blacks. Egyptians, the slaveholders. Canaan, land of freedom. Heaven, Canada, in other words, the North. Home, Africa. Home, Africa. Home, Africa.
Now, the problem for me, it's not about color. It's not about white and black. This is a very reductive way to talk about things. This is the way that Americans talk about it. I'm very sorry. Like, I come from Egypt. Egypt has a very diverse color palette. People can look like me or they can look deeper skin tone like Anwar Sadat, who comes from a Nubian origin. It's not about black and white. It's not about black and white. It's not about black and white.
It just doesn't matter. 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 It just doesn't matter.
At the end, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. Shemai was Egyptian. At the end, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. Shemai was Egyptian. At the end, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. Shemai was Egyptian.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
I want to say peace and blessings to everyone. I hope and pray that you guys had a blessed Shabbat. And we got a lot to unpack here. We're going to kind of piggyback off of the part one. So this is going to be a refresher to many of you guys. But I added a few additional things here. And I tell you, family, if you just really study the scriptures and you really study all the things that the Roman Catholic Church, the Jewish community, as we know them, the Arabic community by way of Islam, which was created by Catholicism, when we understand Judaism, when we understand these religious systems, and you really study the history of what we as a people have been subjected to, you will understand that Babylon is religion. Babylon is religion. Anyone that just minimize, or any group or any teachings that just try to minimize it by saying it's the United States, that's not correct, family. They're not really taking into account all what we've been subjected to. And I want to make this clear. This is not taking any shots at anyone, but I'm just saying to you, family, religion, when you understand that man that's standing to the right, that's on your screen, you understand him. And I'm going to do a special lesson on the Roman Catholic Church and their influences. I was trying to put some of that in here, but didn't have enough time to do so. But King Leopold II, and then to the right, the Pope, when you really understand what our people have been subjected to, the playbook is religion. It's religion. So when we read Revelation chapter 18 and it's telling us to flee Babylon, it's telling us to come out of that religious system that was created by man to purposely suppress the people of Yah. And I am 100% sure that the Pope, King Leopold, and all of these guys understand Deuteronomy 28. King Leopold was a Catholic. That's the part many don't talk about. Look at the religious systems that spun off of the Roman Catholics. Christianity cannot say that they're separate from the Roman Catholics. So it's a lot that we're going to unpack here. We do our loved ones that are now our ancestors, we do them a disservice when we minimize the atrocities that occurred, the things that we were subjected to as a people. I am fully persuaded, and you should be too. You should be as well. The United States is not Babylon. Britain is not Babylon. Russia is not Babylon. China is not Babylon. They all drank from the cup of Babylon. And that is the Roman Catholic Church. How do you know? Look at the influence of the Roman Catholic Church. You have people in China. Believe it or not, you have China celebrating Christmas. Not all, but they still have their culture. But you see Christmas being celebrated in China. You see Christmas being celebrated. I've seen it in other countries that I've traveled to. You see it in Japan. You see it in Russia. You see it right across around the globe. And some probably will ask the question, well, hey, the Roman Catholic Church doesn't have an army. Come on, family. What army do they need when you have 2 billion people connected to your belief system and you have so many King Leopolds around the globe? Come on, family. Come on, family. Religion. I'll say it again. Religion, starting with the Roman Catholic Church. You'd be surprised how influential the Roman Catholic Church is on the Jewish community as we know them. You'd be surprised, especially when you start looking at the 10th century, the 11th century, the 12th century. Who was kicking who out? Especially when you study the 10th century and they got a whiff of that Talmud. That's how many of the Jewish community as we know them ended up in how they landed in Barbados. Not as slaves, not our ancestors. I'm referring to the ones that have sold us. The Jewish community as we know them. They drank out of that cup of Babylon as well. They're part of that. They all have drank out of that cup of Babylon, that woman, the Roman Catholic Church. And I'm going to show you here, family. I'm telling you, when you really go through and dissect King Leopold's letter, we touched on it in the initial lesson of this, and we're going to go back into it. They know that we're the people of the book. They know. I'll say it again. King Leopold, the Roman Catholic Church, especially when you study the Spanish Inquisition, all of them know that we are the people of the book, and they have a calculated plan to keep suppressing Yah's people. You see Psalms 83 in full effect. All right, so let's get it in, family. I don't want to further prolong getting into the lesson, but we have a lot that we're going to unpack here. We're going to answer who is that great city, who is the great city that the scriptures talks about. And as I highlighted in part 1, when we start dealing with Babylon, we know that there's a physical Babylon and there's a spiritual Babylon. We know that Israel, right, Judah, was taken captive by the Babylonians. We know the Babylonians invaded the southern kingdom not once, not twice, but 3 times. And they took Israelites. They took the creme of the creme, so to speak, and brought them to Babylon. So when you read Jeremiah, you see them fleeing Babylon. That is them to go back to Judea, the territories of the Israelites, occupy Jerusalem. That's what Jeremiah was referring to, a physical Babylon. Revelations chapter 18 is referring to a spiritual Babylon. All right. So is the great city referring to a nation? We're going to answer this question. Is the bride connected to the great city? We're going to connect the dots here. Did King Leopold know and understand Deuteronomy 28? And I'm here to say emphatically, yes, he did. When you read that letter, you are going to see in detail that they had a plan. They know Deuteronomy 28. And I'm not just referring to the blessings, I'm referring to the consequences. I'll say it again. I've been teaching this for years on top of years. Deuteronomy 28 has the blessings and the consequences. The curses are not listed in chapter 28. They are listed in chapter 27. So chapter 27 continues on to chapter 28 in terms of the narrative. So the curses are in chapter 27. The blessings, it begins in chapter 28. And the consequences, right, are breaking the law, breaking those laws that was designated, those curses, those law of the curses set aside. The consequences for breaking our agreement is highlighted in chapter 28. So I just want to make sure you're clear on that. All right. So I want to just take you to Zechariah, chapter 11, verse 5. Let's go to Zechariah. It says here, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And they that seldom say, blessed be Yahweh, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. Come on, family. This is not just dealing with what we're dealing with over the past couple of decades with police brutality, because that's how, many have pretty much boxed this text in by just, hey, want to refer to the police brutality. Now, we could go right across the board. You'd be surprised what's happening in our community. Who all is the different communities that are attacking our community. But this is not just in the modern tense. The Roman Catholic Church don't hold themselves accountable. The Christian Church doesn't hold themselves accountable. Islam doesn't hold themselves accountable. Judaism doesn't hold themselves accountable. None of these religious systems and the nations that have created them do not hold themselves accountable for what they have done to our people. And our people is continuously being laid out in the streets. Come on, family. Come on, family. See, we have to stop minimizing. And I'm telling you, that is a calculated agenda to incorrectly teach, love everybody, to program us, to wire us to say, hey, you know what? My brother, my family are those that are following Christ. That's not biblical. Don't get me wrong. I love my brothers and sisters. But guess what? I got brothers and sisters. I be family members that don't follow Christ. But I'm still going to love them anyway. They're still my family. If something happened, I'm going to be there to defend them. If my daughter came to me, I'll be disappointed, but guess what? I'm still going to love her. That's my family. But we've been hacked, family. We've been hacked. Come on, family. They did a number on us. Their own shepherds pity them not. Why? Because the so-called shepherds in Israel, the so-called watchmen, most of them are in the pocket of these guys. Come on, family. Got to be real about it. Who are the people they possessed? Who are the people they possessed? Who are the people they kidnapped, raped, murdered, and hold themselves not guilty? This should bring tears to your eyes. This image that's in the backdrop here. These are our brothers and sisters in West Africa in the area. I don't even like to say Nigeria. Why? Because Nigeria is not the name of that territory. That's not the original name of the territory. It's multiple cultures and nations that are there. That's the name that the oppressors created, along with King Leopold. Now, when we start dealing with now I can't think of the name of it now. I can't. The Belgium Conference French was connected. All of them were connected there as they divided the spoils, as they annexed Africa or Akibulan. But these are our brothers and sisters in that area, the Congos. These are images not of 400 and 500 years ago. These are our brothers and sisters. King Leopold alone led to the slaughter of between 10 to 15 million just in that whole region alone. So who are the people they kidnapped, raped, murdered, and hold themselves not guilty? Revelation chapter 17, verse 14 and 15. These shall make war with the Lamb. Wait a minute. So they're going to make war with our Messiah. We see it today. How did they make war with our Messiah? By giving a Caucasian Messiah, right? By creating a Messiah through our holy text to make the Messiah in their image, after their likeness. We're the only community that are okay with the Messiah not looking like us. See, these Europeans, these Caucasians, they have their Norse religion. They have their Greek religions and culture. They have the different cultures that come with the territory, and they have their gods and goddesses and all that other stuff that's associated with it. But they hijacked our culture, and we are okay with being the only group of people on the planet that pretty much is okay with the Messiah not looking like you and I. Now, I know individually, you guys already know, you guys that are here, you don't see the Messiah that way. But I'm just saying, as a whole, we have to be real about it. So I want to make sure I reiterate that point. We want to talk about other people's Holocaust. We actually give more reverence to whatever situations happen with other groups, but we've been institutionalized, programmed to downplay the atrocities to our people. Come on, family. Come on, family. And family, I know the supposed original name of Africa, Akibulan. I understand all of that. But it doesn't matter whether you know the original name or the current that's being used. Issues are still the same. The issues are still the same. That's the unfortunate thing. The issues are still the same. Whether we say Akibulan, whether we say Ethiopia or Kush or Kawash or Matzaryam in the Israeli Mitzrayim, though that whole continent went through a number of names. That's a whole nother discussion. Come on, family. So these make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Adonaiah of Adonaiah, or Adonaiah wa Adonaiah, King of Kings, Malak wa Malak, right? King, Lord of Lord, Kings of Kings, right? And if we took this to the what you call it, the Gaaz language, we took it to the language of Cush, we would say Negas, Nagaste, King of King, Lord of Lord. You'll see the Hebrew word that also says Nagid or Nagad in the ancient Hebrew. Right? So these are things that we can validate. So when we say King of Kings, Lord of Lords, right? Remember this clip right here.
Negus.
And did you say the word loudly for the judges?
Nigga. Negus.
One more time.
All right, I guess my clip not working. I'm gonna have to use another browser.
Negus.
And would you say the word loudly for the judges?
Nigga.
Negus. One more time.
Nigger.
Negus.
Negus. Nigga.
Negus.
All right. I might have to use a different browser. I got to remind myself because this, I think it's my browser that's acting up. So when I say they, our oppressors have taken names that was positive names and made it negative, programmed us to not even want to go near those names. And when we use those names in our music and all, it's totally the opposite of the origin of the names. But anyway, these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords, Adonaiah, Adonaiah, King of kings, and they that are with him are called, chosen, and faithful. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. How did they hoodwink us, family? The water where this whore sitteth are the peoples, the multitudes, the nations, the tongues. They have sat on, they have built countries, nations off of our people. The waters stained with the blood of our ancestors. Stained with the blood of our ancestors. So the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 9 and 10. You guys remember this? For then will I turn to the people with a pure Barar language, Shapah, that they may all call upon the name of Yahweh to serve him with one Akkad consent, Shakam. That's the whole purpose, family. The Most High is not giving us a new language. He's going to cleanse up our language that's been interpolated by other nations. Verse 10, from beyond Ibar, the rivers of Ethiopia, Kawash, my suppliants, even the daughter of my dispersed, shall bring mine offering. So think about this, family. This is just the surface stuff that I'm dealing with here. The middle passage. This is just surface stuff, family. I'm going to do an in-depth teaching on the Roman Catholic Church. Right? And I'm going to go into some of the details of what our ancestors had to go through. I'm going to deal with the perversions. Man, you'd be surprised how perverted these popes were. Having hostels, over there, they're like hostels, hotels, having designated places that they had women there that they were messing with. That's how perverted they were. And you should not be surprised. And I'm going to reveal some of that stuff that you don't hear about. Yeah, in the public, in the way they teach, they're supposed to be celibate. But I'm going to show you proof that these guys had, their own harems, basically. All along while they're presenting themselves as Papa, Pater. But anyway, just to give you a little history, you guys understand this here. When we deal with slavery, when we deal with the transatlantic world war, that's what this is dealing with the Middle Passage. For weeks, months, sometimes as long as a year, they waited in the dungeons of the slave factories scattered along the Africa's western coast. They had already made the long, difficult journey from Africa's interior, but just barely out of roughly 20 million who were taken from their homes and sold into slavery. Half didn't complete the journey to the African coast, most of those dying along the way. and the worst was yet to come. So sometimes, as long as a year, they waited in dungeons. And this is the original word for coon. You guys remember this? The word coon, we see that it was nicknamed of the Whig Party, which is pretty much the precursor to the Republican Party, right? The Whig Party. But we go further with this. Now the insulting U.S. meaning black person. But it says here, said to be from Barracoon, from Portuguese barraca, a slave depot, pen or rough enclosure for black slaves in transit in West Africa, Brazil, Cuba. And this is what we were stored in. Can you imagine being stored in that for a year? Over in Africa? Over in Akibulan? Over in that territory? Can you imagine the stench? Anyway, that's why I don't even use the word cone. Never use the word cone. And I don't agree with anyone using the word cone. None of us should be using that word cone, regardless of how one of our brothers and sisters may upset you. We should never use that. Never use that. But let's go back to this article. The captives were about to embark on the infamous Middle Passage, so-called because of it was the middle leg of the three-part voyage, a voyage that began and ended in Europe. The first leg of the voyage carried a cargo that often included iron cloth, brandy, firearms, and gunpowder. Upon landing on Africa's slave coast, the cargo was exchanged for Africans, fully loaded with its human cargo. The ship set sail for the Americas, where the slaves were exchanged for sugar, tobacco, or some other product. The final leg brought them back to Europe. All right. So the slaves were branded with hot irons and restrained with shackles. And this is what they were branded with. You guys know this right here. The fleur de lis, the lotus flower. All right. Supposed to represent the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, according to the Catholic Church, embraced in like the 10th century. The Egyptian lotus flower. That's what this is. And they purposely put marks on our bodies, even though the scripture tells us not to put marks on our bodies. Don't tattoo our bodies. Don't brand our bodies. Brandon, not quad, or in the Israeli language, nikud. Put marks on our bodies. But they did this anyway. Put marks on our body like we were cattle. And to them, we are cattle. That's where you get the word chattel from cattle. All right. So the waters with which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are the peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. And so here, and I'm not going to go into the details of this, but showing how Aristotle, right, Greek to Greek, influence on the Roman Catholic Church, right? This just gives you some ideas of just how Aristotle in the Roman civil law, the influence that they had on the theologians, the Catholics, the Christians. So that's what this source really goes into. And I tell you, family, I've been using this source for ages. Slavery in the Catholic Church gives you so much information of the influence of the Roman Catholic Church. All right. So the influence of Aristotle and Roman civil law on theologians, right, between the 12th and 13th century. All right. You know, and so this is just giving you more information on this here. All right. So I'm just fast forwarding a little bit because I really don't want to get into the details of this. I covered this in part 1. So I encourage you guys to read part 1 to really get the fullness of it. But this also deals with the Romans' influence on the Catholic Church, right? So who is the great city? I already gave it to you, but we're gonna do it again. Who is the great city? The key description of the great city, Revelation chapter 17, verse 7 and 9, or through 9. And the angel said unto me, wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose name were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. When they behold the beast that was and is not, and yet is, and here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. So we see 7 heads are the 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. All right. So the Greek definition of mountains, notice what it says here real quick, right? It tells us, right? It's a hill, mountains. It could, in other words, an elevated territory. So as you see here, right? Mountain as lifting itself above the plain, hill, mountain. Okay. So Rome is known as the city of 7 hills. You can't get around it. It's historically proven. Rome is known as the city of 7 hills. What was our ancestors dealing with back at this time? The Romans. They was dealing with the Romans. John that wrote this particular writing, the scroll, they were dealing with the Romans. They were dealing with the Romans. Rome is known as the city of 7 hills. This is coming from a book titled The Two Babylons by Alexander Hislop, page 22. This is what it says. No other city in the world has ever been celebrated as the city of Rome has, for its situation on 7 hills. Pagan poets, orators who had not thought of elucidating prophecy have alike characterized it as the 7-hilled city. Thus, Virgil refers to it. Rome has both become the most beautiful, in other words, city in the world, and alone has surrounded for herself 7 heights with a wall. Propertius, in the same strain, speaks of it, only adding another trait, which completes the apocalyptic picture as the lofty city on 7 hills, which governs the whole world. Come on, family, we can't get away from it. It says here, to call Rome the city of the 7 hills was by its citizens held to be as descriptive as to call it by its own proper name. Here's another source, Collier's Encyclopedia with bibliography and index. And I'm going to drop this in the link in the comment section. And family, you could go back and vet these sources. And it's clear. It's clear as day. It's clear as day. It's clear as day. Identifying the city that sits on the hill. Right? It's so easy to identify it. Literally, we have the sources. So I'm going to drop this link here, and you guys can download it or at least view it online at your leisure. All right, there it is. There it is. So this is coming out of that book. This is coming out of that book. Rome, the capital of the Republic of Italy for many centuries, the spiritual capital of Western Christendom, the seat of the supreme pontiff of the Roman Catholic Church, known as the Eternal City. All right. Goes on to say here, Rome has figured prominently in the story of mankind, first as the capital of the Roman Empire until its collapse in the 5th century AD, later as the capital of the Papal States, and after 1870 as the capital of a united Italy. All right. And as we see here, taking a little further, the geographical locations. In imperial times, the port of Rome was located at Ostia Ostia Amica, a few miles inland. So this is giving us the geographical location. But notice what you see here. And this is what we're going to highlight it here. Right, we see here is that bordering the plains are small mountain ranges, but we're going to take it down to the last sentence here. The city is divided by the Tiber River and occupies a series of low hills, including the 7 hills of Rome. The what? The 7 hills of Rome. Come on, family. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. Religion is holding us hostage, family. By way of who? The Roman Catholic Church and these other religions that spun off of that. Now holding our captive. And King Leopold, he just let it all loose. He just let it all loose. Peace and blessings to Daily Repentance Heart. The kingdom is at hand. I want to say peace and blessings to you. So family, we're going to touch on that letter. We're getting there. We're getting there. All right. So who's the woman that sits on the 7 hills? Who is this woman? Family, the Roman Catholicism sits on the 7 hills. It's easy to identify the 7 hills. Roman Catholicism sits on the 7 hills. I just gave you sources. Revelation chapter 17, verse 4. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. So again, who is the woman clothed? Who is the woman clothed? Is she the daughter of Babylon? She's not the daughter of Babylon. Who is the daughter of Babylon? That's the question. She is not the daughter of anyway. Let me give clarity here. Is she the United States? All right. Let me go back here. Let me make sure I got my questions here. Right. Just so you guys understand. Who is this woman clothed? We're going to answer that question. Is she the daughter of Babylon? We're going to answer that question. Who is the daughter of Babylon? Is she the United States? Now let's get clarity on the daughters of Babylon. Let's go to Zechariah chapter 2, verse 6 and 7. Let's get clarity here. Notice what it says here, right? Ho, ho. In other words, Hawaii. Some would say hi, but Hawaii. Saying this in ancient Hebrew. Come forth and flee from the land of the north, saith Yahweh, for I have spread you abroad as the 4 winds of the heaven, saith Yahweh. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughters of Babylon. That dwellest with who? The daughters of Babylon. So we need to understand who are the daughters of Babylon. So this is an overview of the book of Zechariah. The prophet Zechariah is clear in his writings that chapters 1 through 8 was written between 520 and 518 BC. This prophetic writing began after the Babylonians were conquered by the Medo and the Persians armies. Judah became a province of the Medo-Persians. Cyrus was appointed by them to rule over them. Right. So he allowed Judah to return to their homeland, the same place Yah instructed those who were taken to Babylon to now return. So Zechariah, prophetic message of hope for those who had returned to the land of Judah. Right. So Zechariah specifically mentions Zerubbabel, who was the head Nagad or Nagid in charge of Yahushai, which is Joshua, right, the high priest at that time. Now I encourage you guys to watch the lesson that I did titled the Messiah of a Cursed King. And I explain all of that in that lesson. It's in the playlist, the foundational playlist. So so Judah, who still lived in Babylon, was warned to flee Babylon and return home to their homeland. During that time, those that were taken to Babylon, they were told to flee Babylon and return to their own land, right? So they were warned twice in verse 7 and 8, flee from Mother Babylon. And more specifically, they were to flee from the local people who were referred to as the daughter of Babylon. So you have the system, right, that's in place, the institution, but then you have the people. And Israel is being told, Judah is being told to flee from, not just from Babylon, the territory, but flee from the daughters of Babylon, the people. So again, to their own land, which is Judah. That's the part we have to be reminded of. The Most High intended purpose, intended point to regather his people, to gather us, is so that way we can have our territory again, to take us back to our land. So prophecy isn't generic. I want you to understand this. Prophecy isn't generic. Is not generic, excuse me. I said genetic, excuse me. Prophecy is not generic. It's not ambiguous. It's not universal. It's not Catholic. So let me say that again. Prophecy, it's not generic. It's not vague. It's not ambiguous. It's not universal. It is not Catholic. So understanding context is everything when it comes to properly interpreting them. All right. So the daughter of Babylon was the local people of Babylon, right? Because that's one of the problems we have with our community, right? See, we can flee from the system of Babylon, but we still marrying and having children with those who have oppressed us. Come on now, we got to be real. Right? The Moabites, I used them for example. The Moabites. We're not even supposed to, according to scripture, allow our sons and daughters to even marry them. But what did Judah do? What did Judah do? What did Israel do? Israel married them anyway. Israel married them anyway. When you read Ezra, when you read Nehemiah, Israel married them anyway. Now, I want to make it clear, right? You know, Moses married an Ethiopian woman, a woman from Cush. So a person of color. So I'm not dealing with race as we understand it. The 83rd book of Psalms lays out all the nations that came together in the Asiento to say that they were going to suppress our community. Asiento, covenant, right? I purposely said Asiento. Covenant to suppress our community. Come on, family. But what are we doing as a community? Marrying the sons and daughters that are still pushing the same spirit of the people that have oppressed us. What's that governor name down in Florida? DeSantis or whatever. He is the son of our oppressors. You think it's a coincidence that he is doing what he's doing? And family, we just can't just think about Britain or UK. Come on. Think about Spain. Think about Portugal. Think about those territories. But we as a people, we're marrying into the delusion. We are making covenant with the delusion. So the daughter of Babylon was the local people of Babylon. So the Most High is telling Israel at that time to flee the system, but also flee the people. The daughter of Babylon was the local people of Babylon. And we're going to confirm this with the 137th book of Psalms, verse 8. Notice what it says. O daughter, Bath of Babylon, Babal, who are to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. So while in Babylon, those Israelites who were repentant towards Yahweh longed to return home. The Israelites were bitterly uh, they were bitter. They wept, excuse me. The Israelites wept bitterly when they remembered Zion, the sacred place where they had lived joyfully in Yah's presence. Let me say this again. The Israelites wept bitterly when they remembered Zion, Jerusalem, the sacred place where they had lived joyfully in Yah's presence. So it's significant to note that only a fraction of Judah returned to the promised land when given the opportunity. That sound like our people? Of those who had been carried away from Israel 70 years earlier, most had died, right? And some just chose not to move back, right? Of those yet living, many were also, just another caveat to add, many were too old or in too poor health to make the strenuous trip because they didn't have the means of transportation like we have. You know, so that's why, family, I don't get into all the things of people trying to spook us or make us feel guilty if you are in this country and you don't have the means to leave this country and go to Africa. Man, I'm just tired of seeing this spook doctrine. And again, I'm not pointing fingers to any particular person or group, but there is a lot of spooking among Yah's people, you know, to make them feel like they have to leave wherever area that they're at, because it's not just with the United States. Babylon, that's why I want to make it clear. We got people in South America. You know, we have people in Central America. We have people in Canada. We have people in Australia. We are scattered to the four corners. So it's not just dealing with our people here in the United States. The Messiah dealt with the spook doctrine. He said, if those come to you telling you to flee to the flee to the desert, he said, don't listen to them. Don't listen to him. The Messiah's in the desert, or go to the secret chambers. He's in the secret chambers. Now we're getting into secret societies. Come on, family. Babylon is worldwide, family. This religious system is worldwide. So no matter where we go to, we're still going to have to deal with the same situations. Come on, family. The Most High knows our situation. Not everyone has the resources and should not be made to feel bad if they don't have the resources. Yeah, that's right. He also said in Matthew chapter 24, he said, you know, if you're in Jerusalem, right, flee to the mountain. Basically, if you can't get to the mountain, secure where you are, because there was a war coming on. So no matter where they fled to, they was in wartime. It wasn't just running. It was what? To defend themselves. Flee to the mountain. You have what? The high road, the high ground. But nevertheless, Israel was at war, family. And that's part of the problem, family. We have to really understand how to strategize. We don't need to be putting fear in our people. Now, of course, provoke them to what? Good works. What is good works? To come together as a people, but not to make someone feel bad. Oh yeah, the United States is going down. United States going down. Man, it's not just the United States that's going down. Do you know that there's countries in Africa? Akibulan is going down. It's not just the United States. It's countries in Africa that are going down, that contributed to our demise. Come on, family. Can we be real up in here? The Most High's wrath, the Most High's judgment is going to occur to the four corners of this earth, no matter how you look at it. It's going to go down. Judgment is coming to all, starting with the house of Israel. All right? Just want to be real with this thing here. So, on the other hand, the majority of Israel were settled and content in Babylon. Right? We got brothers and sisters that are content in this spiritual Babylon, just like the physical Babylon. Come on, family. Trust me. Most High said, hey, go, I'm going. physically, if he tell me to go wherever he want me to go at. But spiritually, guess what? We should be able to have no problem coming out of spiritual Babylon, leaving these religious systems. Our people have been so programmed that we think that a title that the Messiah didn't even use, being a Christian, is more important than your actual heritage, your actual identity. Think that a term that was created by the very people that oppressed the early Israelite followers of the Messiah, right? To say and be programmed saying that that's your identity. Being a Christian is not your identity. Anyway, I know that may mess a few people up. Being a Christian is not your identity. Our identity is laid out before the word Christian even came to play. Israelites were still Israelites, whether they believed in the Messiah or not. That's the proof. That's biblical. Israelites were still Israelites, whether they rebelled or whether they're the remnant. They were still Israelites. They still had their identity. They still had their heritage. Anyway, let me go ahead and continue on. So on the other hand, the majority of Israel were settled and content in Babylon. Through the prophet Jeremiah, Yahweh had instructed the captives to build houses, right? Have families, work, seek the peace and prosperity of the land in which they were forced to live. Let me say that again, family. Right? For those that had no other choice but to stay in Babylon, Jeremiah, right? Through the prophet Jeremiah, the Most High, Yahweh, he exists, had instructed the captives to build houses, have families, work and seek the peace and prosperity of the land in which they were forced to live. Doesn't that sound like us? That's what he's telling us till he returned, till he gives the okay. Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 4 through 7. Notice what it says. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts of Elohim of Israel, unto all that are carried away captives, whom I have caused to be carried away from Jerusalem unto Babylon, build ye houses, dwell in them, plant gardens, and eat the fruit of them. He's telling us no matter where we scatter to, make the best of our situation until he tells us to return. Come on, family. Is that not the word? Is that not the word? I encourage you guys, make a note of this passage. Read over Jeremiah. You'll get the proper context, the proper understanding. We in this land of captivity, we in other lands of captivity, but the Most High is telling us until he tell us to return to our native land. Guess what? Make the best of the situation. Build ye houses, dwell in them, plant gardens, eat the fruit of them. Take you wives. In other words, get married, have sons, have daughters, and it says, and take wives for your sons and give your daughters to husbands, that they may bear sons and daughters, that ye may be increased there and not diminished. So he's telling us to live, not walk on eggshells, not live in fear, live according to the instructions, according to the template that he's given us. Live, family. We don't know what day the Most High is going to come and call us back, but you still have to live. You still have to function. Those that wait, guess what? Wait does not mean not to be functioning, not to do anything. You still have to operate and function and live where we are. You still have to save money. You still have to prepare for that rainy day. You still have to get up, and if you have your own business, operate in that business. If you work a 9 to 5, work that 9 to 5. Whatever the case may be, you still have to function day to day until he calls us back. Live, family. Don't let people put fear in you that make you panic, and now you're not living. Now you're in fear. Come on, family. Come on, family. Take ye wives, as you see in the scripture. Take ye wives, begat sons, daughters, and take wives for your sons, and give your daughters to husbands, that they may bear sons and daughters, that ye may be increased there and not diminished. Doesn't it sound like the parable of the sowers? Each one was blessed with 5, 2, and 1, I believe 5, 2, and 1 talents. The one with the 5 doubled. The one with the 2 doubled. But the one out of fear, he buried it. Come on, family. Come on, family. At least I give the prodigal son some type of credit. At least he made an attempt to live, even though he messed up and got corrected. I believe the oldest son was a little jealous because he did not go out and live. Family, I know we're in the land of captivity. I know it's getting hard. I know desperate times, people want to do desperate things. I know some of you guys are getting desperate, like when is the Most High coming back? Family, don't do what Abraham had done. Don't do what Sarah had done by trying to come up with workarounds. No. Fear ye not. Stand still. See the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today, these Babylonians you see here today, these Persians that you see here today, you will never have to deal with them ever again. They will not have power over you ever again. The Most High will fight for you, but you have to hold your peace. That's quoting out of Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 and 14. Now, going back here to Jeremiah, starting at verse 7 in chapter 29, seek the peace of the city where I have caused you to be carried away captives. Wait a minute. What did it just say here? In this captivity, in this foreign land, it says, seek the peace of the city whether I have caused you to be carried away captives, and pray unto Yahweh for it. For in the peace thereof shall ye have peace. Oh, come on, family. Come on, family. This scripture, I'm not giving opinion. I'm just reading word. If anybody have a problem with what I'm saying, you have a problem with the Most High. I'm just reading word. Let's go to Isaiah 47, verse 1. Notice what it says here. Remember, Babylon is the people. They tell me Babylon. We're not just dealing with the system of Babylon, but here, when we see daughters of Babylon, notice what you see here. We're dealing with the people. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon, Babal. Sit on the ground, right? There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. Wait a minute. So we see the daughter of Babylon. We see the daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. So we see Babylon, the daughter of Babylon is actual people. When we see daughter of Chaldeans, we're dealing with actual people. And I'm giving you scripture to prove that here. All right. Come on, family. Come on, family. That's right. Blackjack. This is the key. So we got to create our own peaceful places in those times. Do you know Abraham with Lot? Abraham told Lot, hey, whatever direction, I'm paraphrasing, whatever direction you go, I'm going in the opposite direction. It didn't matter what direction Abraham went, but he was going in the opposite direction of Lot. If Lot would have chose to go a different direction and Abraham would have landed in that metropolitan that Lot ended up in, that Sodom and Gomorrah, that whole territory, Abraham had enough confidence that if he was there, the city would have been saved. Do we have that type of confidence that no matter where the Most High send us, we're going to put our hands to the plow, we're going to prosper, we're going to succeed? See, when I came up in North New Jersey, I had the mindset, no matter what city I land in, I'm going to make it. No matter what city I land in, I'm going to make it. I don't care what city. I've been overseas. Y'all took care of me. I went to college way out in Oklahoma. Y'all sustained me when I was away from my family. I went into the military, traveled around the world. No family, but Yah sustained me. I could tell you some situations. We're supposed to create our Take our shalom. Some of you guys will say shalom. Take it with us. Take it with us no matter where we go. See, Abraham, when he prayed for the city, when the Most High told him that he sent angels basically to go destroy the whole metropolitan, that's why Abraham went into the prayer asking, hey, would you save the city if this number? If you save the city if this number was righteous, if you save the city if there was this number righteous. You know why he was given the numbers? Those are representing the men that left, that departed, that went with Lot. And the Most High said, none of those men are righteous. None of those men. That tells you that Lot wasn't on his game. He didn't lead those men to righteousness. And the Most High even said, Lot, he's not even righteous enough to save the city himself. He said, I'll deliver your cousin, I'll bring him out. But the city is going to go down. Come on, family. Come on, family. It's just that simple. It's just that simple, family. And I hope this is encouraging someone that's watching. All right. So Isaiah predicted that Babylon would face the hand of Yah's judgment. Babylon would be humiliated and conquered. So Isaiah did identify Persia as the conqueror. History has proven the fulfillment of the prophecy, for Persia conquered Babylon in 539 BC. Babylon is referred to as a virgin daughter, a tender, delicate nation, which simply means that she was a young nation. She had never been, as you see, sexually conquered. She has never been raped by other nations up until that time. So she's never been conquered. She's never been exploited like other nations when they take over other nations. All right. So who is the daughter of Babylon? I just gave you the answer. Who is the daughter of Babylon? Is she the United States? No. Is she the Roman Catholic Church? No. Right. I gave you the answer. Right. The daughters of Babylon. I gave it to you. It's the people. But anyway, so let's go here. Let's continue to build on this. After these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. So now we're dealing with spiritual Babylon. Babylon is, oh, come on, family. We're dealing with spiritual Babylon. We're dealing with the Roman Catholic Church. You'll be surprised what perversions, every type of foul spirit is up in the Roman Catholic Church. Every foul spirit is up in Judaism, up in Islam, up in some of the other ones, Christianity, up in Hinduism. There's every foul spirit in these religious systems. Verse 3, for all nations have drunk. Let me say that again. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. The Roman Catholic Church. You think that if and when the United States fall, when the Most High come back with his judgment, do you think that all the nations around the world, especially Russia, China, some of the major powers, is going to cry? No. We can't say that all the nations are hoping for the demise of the United States. But then this scripture says here, especially when we read here and go into the additional passages after verse 3, it's going to tell you that they were mourning. So for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath. They will mourn the falling of Vatican City. They will mourn the fall of Christianity. They will mourn the fall of these different things. So all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. The kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich. Man, every country got rich off of us. France is still getting almost $500 million from 14 countries, slave taxes. Come on, family. That's a fact. Almost $500 billion, getting almost $500 billion every year from countries that can't even afford to build their own infrastructure because they are being taxed so hard by these different countries. that annexed Africa. Come on, family. Come on, family. Verse 4, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Do you know, many don't want to leave these religious systems. Think about the pandemic that we just had to deal with. Those same plagues that came on our oppressors came on many of our brothers and sisters. Come on, family. And I'm not trying to sound, sound insensitive. If I sound insensitive, I want to apologize. I'm not trying to sound insensitive because I know some of you guys probably have lost loved ones, probably lost family, friends over this pandemic. But guess what? If we don't come from out of her, we're going to deal with her plagues. Guess what? That's why Jeremiah also said too, grow our own foods, cultivate where you are. Because guess what? We can't be so dependent on the food source. We have to make our own food sources. Isn't that the scripture? Isn't that what Jeremiah said? So I heard, right? Another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. So when we go to Jeremiah 51, verse 6 through 8, now this is dealing with the physical. In Revelation chapter 18, we're dealing with spiritual. And remember, John is in the Israelites at that time, they're dealing with the Roman suppression. Come on, family, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off of her iniquity, for this is the time of Yahweh's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. So he's making the prophecy is here is telling the people of the Most High, get up out of Babylon. Those captives that were still in physical Babylon, he's telling them in Jeremiah, get out of Babylon, because the Most High is about to pass judgment. And if you're still in Babylon, when he passed that judgment, you're going to have to deal with the consequences. Fast forward to Revelation 18. We're dealing with a spiritual Babylon. He's saying the same thing. Get out of these religious systems. Get out of Christianity. Get out of Catholicism. Get out of Judaism. Get out of Islam. Get out of these belief systems, because when he passed judgment, when he sends these plagues, guess what? Those plagues that's meant to judge, right? To punish these nations, to punish those nations, these kings, these leaders that have led their countries and drinking out of this cup. Guess what? They are going to have to deal with the judgment. If you don't want to leave, if you want to stay there, then you're going to have to deal with the consequences as well. That's what he's saying here, right? That's what Revelation chapter 18 is saying towards the spiritual Babylon. Jeremiah 51, physical. Verse 7, Babylon hath been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand, that made all the earth drunketh. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pain. If so, be she may be healed. All right. So family, keep in mind, we're not just being suppressed in the United States. We're being suppressed right around all around the world. Come on, family. United States is suppressing us big time. Bringing back those Jim Crow laws. We could go right down the list of the things that our people are dealing with. But guess what? You think our people are not dealing with suppression in the UK? You think our people are not dealing with suppression over in Russia? You think our people are not dealing with suppression in the Ukraine? You could Google it, right? Matter of fact, let me see if I have it here. I may pull it in here. Let me see here. Instead of having you Google it, let me see if I could pull up one of my slides from one of my older presentations about the Ukraine. And they done given United States have given them almost $200 billion. Almost $200 billion. But fight tooth and nail with compensating Yas people. Let me see here. I thought I had it here. Oh yeah, I have it here. Let me copy this over real quick. All right. Because I want you guys to see this here. And then we'll continue. All right. We're chugging along. Still got a little ways to go, but we're getting there. All right. Let me show this here real quick. All right. And then we'll continue on. Let me just show this here. For those that, may not believe. All right. Revelation 18:34. Let me make sure I bookmark this. All right. Let's fast forward. Revelation. All right. So I know where I'm at. All right. Let me paste this in. All right. I'm just cleaning this up real quick. And I want y'all to see here. I want y'all to see what's going on. And I'm not sure if you guys saw one of the videos I uploaded with Brother Man having bananas being thrown at him over in Russia, being mocked. All right. But let me go here real quick. All right. Peace Corps. Right. This is Ukraine. Matter of fact, let me drop the link in the comment section. This is the Peace Corps. Let me drop this link here. All right. Possible considerations for African Americans or Black volunteers. Notice what it says here. Volunteer voices. People of color face many challenges living in Ukraine as a Peace Corps volunteer. However, African Americans will confront far more complicated issues. Wait a minute, saying African Americans have it far worse than Caucasians going over. That's what they're saying here. Let me read it again just to make sure you're clear. Volunteer voices. People of color face many challenges living in Ukraine as a Peace Corps volunteer. However, African Americans will confront far more complicated issues. For modern parts of Ukraine, African Americans are part of the community, right, and day-to-day life. However, there are many Ukrainians who have never seen a Black person before. Their understanding of African American culture is fueled by the media and African stereotypes. You will generate lots of interest and curious stares. So these stares can make you uncomfortable and annoyed. Ukrainians' initial perception of you may be that you are from Africa. It may not. It does help if they understand that you are an American in the training in PST, which will help you consider ways that you will engage with these assumptions. But notice what it says here. It is not uncommon for Ukrainians to refer to African Americans as N-word, right? Right? I just want to make sure you guys understand this, right? Right? Just want to make sure you guys understand this. Let's read it again. It says here, it is not uncommon for Ukrainians to refer to African Americans as
nigger.
Right? Refer to African Americans as
nigga.
Volunteers of color may be called a monkey, or maybe seen, or may see children's games with blackface. Let me say it again. It is not uncommon for the Ukrainians to refer to African Americans as
nigger.
Volunteers of color may be called a monkey or may see children's games with blackface. Being aware of the history of dehumanization for people of African descent may help inform where this comes from. It does not justify it. It will be at your discretion to determine that the intent. All right. So just wanted to give you a heads up, family. I'm not going to go into all that. So let's go to Revelation chapter 18, verse 3 and 4. For all nations have drunk of the wine of her wrath, of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Right? And we see here again, right? I will punish Baal and Babal, right? And I will bring forth out of his mouth that which he hath swallowed up, and the nations that shall not flow together any more unto him. Yea, the wall of Babal shall fall. Napal, okay? My people, go ye out, Taza'ah, or Tsa'ah, right, of the mist, Thawak of her, and deliver ye every man his soul from fierce anger of Yahweh. Okay. So again, voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sin. So when we look at sin in Greek, in a nutshell, right? Wander, this is the key right here. Wander from the law of the Most High, violate the law of the Most High. In other words, violate Yah's laws, his laws, statutes, and commandments. That's key. Then when we go to the Hebrew dictionary definition of the word, it says to miss, to sin, to forfeit, lead astray, condemn, bear the blame. All right. It says here, offender, make offender, trespass, go wrong, forfeit. Okay. So why are we commanded to come out of her? Right. Do not participate or continue to participate in her perversions. That's why we're commanded. There's a lot of perversions. Come on. We see the same perversions that's in the, just quote for the sake of presentation, the black church that we see in Catholicism. You see the same perversions. You see all kinds of crazy stuff going on. Pedophilia. You see husbands sleeping with other husband wives and vice versa. Homosexuality. You see all this stuff going on up in there. Right? So let's go to here. Let's go here. Right? These are some of the perversions. This is Vatican City, right? This is Vatican City, right? You see this. Looks like the square and the compass. So you see the Masonic influence here. But you also see what is called the Ligam Yani. That's what you see here. Look like the Millennium Falcon for those Star Wars geeks out there, right? This is the Ligam Yani, right? This is a sexual image here. But here you see Vatican City. There's the square. The compass, right? That this is a compass, but also it's a Ligam Yani, right? There's no coincidence that you see the center as you see here. If you can see that, type 1. If you see that, type 1. If you see that, type 1. If you don't see it, type 2. All right. It's right before our eyes, family. It's right before our eyes. What do you think the Eiffel Tower is? Uh-oh. What do you think the Eiffel Tower is? Doesn't that look like the Eiffel Tower there too? Doesn't that look like the Eiffel Tower? Doesn't that look like a square? Or should I say a compass? Doesn't that look like a Ligam Yani? Right? That's right. It's in DC as well. You see this in Britain. You see this in a number of territories. Blackjack said agrees with it. Cindy Lou, same thing. Jerry Carroll, same thing. Let me see something real quick. My apologies, family. I didn't see Tribe of Judah. Let me give some shout outs. Tribe of Judah, thank you for the super sticker. Appreciate the contributions, family. Let's show some love for Tribe of Judah. Yahudah, which is Judah. In ancient Hebrew, you guys are here say Yahwadah, but nevertheless, Tribe of Judah. Tribe of Yahudah. Appreciate the love and support. So again, family, let's show some love. Excuse me. All right, let's show some love. Really appreciate the contributions. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Thank you. All right. And forgive me for taking so long to acknowledge it. I only have one screen. I got to take care of the rest of my screens here. I got to, get my monitor connected here. All right. But appreciate you. All right. Let's see who else we have here. Cindy Lou agrees. Jerry Carroll agrees. Sweet Lady agrees. And Alexandria Leggett agrees. Nora Bain agrees. Bithia, excuse me. Batya Israel, excuse me if I butchered the name. I don't know why I want to keep saying Bithia, but Bithia, and forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it. WJ Brown agree. LaRonda agree. Malak Bat Yisrael agree. Tribe of Yahudah agree. Queen Grant agree. Ranshare Smith agree. Kay Singleton agree. Rocky Balboa agree. Holding it down in Philly, right? Victorious Ron agree. My too much for you agree. Vincent Rollins agree. Yaquaba agree. Joy agree. Malakabat Ya to the remnant. Shout outs my sister holding it down up in New York. She agreed. Really appreciate you, sis. Blackjack again. He agreed, but he's saying this one, there's one in DC. Young Brew agree. Let's see here. All right. So appreciate it, family, for the participation. All right. So let's go to continue. Let's go to get back into here. Let me put this over. All right. Let's see here. So do not participate or continue to participate in her corruption, right? So this is part of the corruption. I'm not going to go into the details of it. The converts' catechisms of Catholic doctrine, right? This book, they make it the point that they are the ones that changed the feast days. They're the ones that changed the Shabbat. Actually, they didn't change it, but for their religion, they're making their Shabbat Sunday, the first day of the week. Holy days of devotion, feast days, which we are recommended to keep holy. Holy days of obligations, days which we must keep as Sundays. So they're saying here, the holy days of obligation, they're going to keep it on Sundays. Even though they know that it's supposed to be Shabbat, but they made it clear they're going to keep whatever the holy days of obligations, days which we must keep as Sunday, right? They make it clear why they observe the they don't observe the Shabbat, right? They said the third commandment is remember that thou keep the holy thou keep holy the Shabbat. So they acknowledge it here, even though that's the fourth commandment, a whole nother discussion. But saying that that's this right here is the commandment. In the commandments, they're making it clear that it's written in the 10 commandments to honor the Shabbat. But they make it clear here, right? Which day is the Shabbat? It says answer, Saturday is the Shabbat. So they're making it clear the seventh day of the week is the Shabbat. But it says we do observe Sunday instead of Saturday. We observe, or Shabbat. the seventh day. We observe Sunday instead of Saturday or Shabbat or the seventh day because the Catholic Church, right? And we see here in the Council of Laodicea, don't even let me butcher here. Laodicea, right? In 336 AD, transferred, right? So they're making it clear. They're making it clear. Well, Laodicea, some would say Docia, but anyway, but we see that they're making it clear they made a decision. Has nothing to do with Scripture. The early followers of the Messiah, they honored the Shabbat. All right. So I'm not going to go into all of this, but this is really letting us know that they took it upon themselves to worship on Sunday. Right. And this is the answer. Why did the Catholic Church substitute Sunday for Saturday? The church substituted Sunday for Saturday because Christ rose from the dead on Sunday. That's completely wrong. And the Holy Spirit descended upon the apostles on a Sunday. So you can't say the apostles, right? This is where we get into Pentecost, right? Or should we say the conclusion of the Feast of Weeks, right? 7 Sundays, or 7 Shabbats plus a day, which will land on the first day of the week, right? Which is called Sunday, right? Which they call Sunday. You can't have the resurrection occur on a Sunday and the Feast of Weeks occur on the Sunday or the first day of the week. This alone proves that the Messiah rose from the dead on the Shabbat. Facts. Do the number, do the calculation. Fact, Feast of Weeks concludes on the first day of the week, period. So if you go back 50 days, it's going to land right on the Shabbat. All right. So anyway. So notice what it says here. By what authority did the church substitute Sunday for Saturday or the seventh day of the week to the first day of the week? The church substituted Sunday for Saturday by the plenitude of that divine power which Jesus Christ bestowed upon her. The Messiah never told anyone to break the commandments. That's an absolute lie. All right. So let's go to fast forward. Right. So 5 reasons are given why Yahweh will destroy the city. You know, Babylon will be destroyed because of spiritual corruption. Right. Babylon, the great capital city, will be destroyed because the city corrupt nations. Right. The city corrupted nations, kings and merchants. Babylon will be destroyed because the city corrupted people through secularism. They will be destroyed because the city will take the lead in persecuting Yah's chosen people. Babylon will be destroyed because of pride, selfish extravagance, and indulgence. So the commonality and the characteristics between Babylon mentioned in Jeremiah, which was written in the 6th century BC, and Babylon in the book of Revelation, which was written sometime in the 1st century AD, right? And Jeremiah, right? Babylon made all the earth drunk of her wine, and in Revelation, the kings and inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Right. So we see here Babylon at that time, during the time of Jeremiah, we have to understand Babylon in that whole area. Right. All the nations in that area, he made Babylon made her drunk. Revelation, it branches out wherever we scattered towards the 4 corners. Every country, every nation that participated, all of them are drunk. So the wine of Babylon is an intoxicating mixture that is born of fornication. Are there other clues in the Bible, in the scripture, that tells us what this fornication could be? Well, here it is. Made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. What or who is the wine? That's the question, right? Revelation 17, verse 6. I gave you the answer, but here it is again, right? And I saw the woman drunketh with the blood of Quadayash, right? The holy people, Israelites. This is not dealing with no saints. And with the blood of the martyrs of Yahushua HaMashiach. When I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. This is not dealing with the Roman Catholic Church. And that word saint is not an ancient word. It was created specifically for the Catholic Church. That's their word. It's the holy people of Israel, right? So the etymological dictionary definition of saint, I'm just going to touch on it a little bit, but you'll see here, it says here, where do I want to go to? Right? Originally, an adjective prefix to the name of a canonized person. And that is dealing with who? The Roman Catholic Church. So originally, this adjective was recognized as the prefix of a canonized person in the Roman Catholic Church. Can't get away from it. Can't get around it. So this is the steps to sainthood. I'm not going to read all of this for the sake of time, but this is making it clear that the Catholic Church determines who is a saint after their death, right? But when we go to the Hebrew, right, we see Quadayash, or in the Israeli, Kaddish, right, which means saint. It comes, and when you go to the primitive root word, you see Quadash, right? But again, saint is not an accurate term to use. We should just say holy people, Yah's people. Saint, nah, that's still, words have meaning. That word was not created to be synonymous with Israel. That word was created specifically for the Roman Catholic Church. So Hebrews primitive root word definition of the word saint, as that transliterates to the word saint, because it's not saint, but it says quadash, as I pointed out. Okay, clean, consecrate, dedicate, keep, proclaim, purify, sanctify. Right. So the translated word saint is actually referring to Israel. So in every verse you see the word saint, right? It did not originally refer to Israel, but to the Roman Catholic Church, right? Replacement theology, which is an extension of covenant theology, which is still replacing Israel. So when we look at drunk, the Hebrew dictionary definition of drunk, shakar, it means to become tipsy, to satiate with a stimulating drink, influence, in other words, drink, be filled with drink, drunk, be, make drunk, right? Or drunketh, be merry. So drunk, shakar, in Hebrew means to become tipsy, to be filled by what? The influence. That's why I said all that have been influenced by this wine of this woman of Babylon is going to have to pay the price. So the bride of the serpent became drunk, shakar, and filled with influence in taking the life of the Israelites. So let's look at this word bloodthirsty real quick. We see here dam, right, which means as you see here, blood, as that which when shed causes death of a man. But here's the kicker: bloodshed, an example, drops of blood. But right here, blood D, blood guiltiness, blood thirsty, right? Of who? Innocent people. Blood guiltiness plus innocence, right? Of innocent people. Bloodthirsty of innocent people. That's what this means. So the bride of the serpent became drunk and filled with the influence of innocent bloodshed, made all the earth drunken, right? Made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, right? So let's go back to King Leopold, right? I know I gave you a lot of information to fill in here to paint this picture here, but the Roman Catholic Church religion has made all the nations drunk off of us, all the leaders drunk off of us. So let's go to King Leopold's letter here. Family, I'm telling you, when you get into the playbook here, it's sick. Look at this here. King Leopold's letter right here, right? We're going to start with this paragraph, as you see right here, says, reverends, fathers, and dear compatriots, the task that is given to fulfill is very delicate and requires much tact. You will go certainly to evangelize, but your evangelization must inspire above all Belgium interests. Your principal objective and our mission in the Congo is never to teach as you see here, right? Because I know I'm being monitored here. I want y'all to make sure that you guys understand here. That's why I'm playing these here. It says here that your principal objective in our mission in the Congo is never to teach the nigger, right? To know, as you see here, God. This they know already, they speak and submit to a Mungu, one Nzambi, one Nazakamba, and what else I don't know, right? So this is making it clear. Again, I want to reiterate this point. It says here, our mission in the Congos is never to teach the
Nigga.
God. This they know already. Now, the question is, how did they know? But before we get there, let's see what Deuteronomy has to say, because this is why I say they know the consequences. They know the consequences. They purposely, man, I'm telling you, when you read this letter here and you really understand this history, they know we the people of the book. And they made it a point to mock the Most High, to contaminate his people, operating with the spirit of Hasatan from the very beginning in the garden. Deuteronomy 28:36, to tie in with what we just read, Yahweh will drive you, and it says here, and the king you have set over you. It didn't say the Most High set this king over us. It says the king you have set over you, right? Because we so big at trying to be accepted, and we put people over us for some reason. We love to be in captivity. We love to be enslaved. We love to be ruled by our oppressors. We've been hacked. The king you have set over you to a nation unknown to you or your fathers, where you shall serve other Elohim of wood and stone. So how did the people already know about the Most High according to King Leopold? It's because they used a tool called syncretism. They, the Roman Catholics, the Christians, they used a tool called syncretism. And I'm not going to go through all of this here because it's very detailed, but I'm going to just read this real quick. Syncretism, it says here, reconciliation of different beliefs, union of communities to combine against a common enemy, and we're the enemy, right? So they blending religious beliefs. That's how they grew. Catholicism, we already know what Catholicism, right? It's a universal doctrine, right? Universal, generic, right? All inclusive. And how did they do it? How did they grow? By generalizing something that didn't belong to them from the beginning, create a religion off of it, right? So Catholic means universal, also means general. Universal simply means the doctrine of uni plus what? Uni plus verse. Uni and the doctrines of uni, which we get the Trinitarian concept. So here's the little information on uni real quick. As you see here, Etruscan name for the great mother of Holy Trinity, 3-in-1 goddess who gave birth to the uni plus the verse. In a nutshell, the Capitoline Triad, Virgin Mother Crone, the three witches. Okay, so let's go to the source here real quick. Y'all see that man here? So many of our brothers and sisters have been embracing this, the Bantu language, but unfortunately, family, especially from a religious aspect, right? All the words that we hear our brothers and sisters are using, it's coming from this man right here. Look at the regalia that he's wearing. Dictionary and Grammar of the Congo Language, Reverend W. Holman Bentley. Through syncretism, he took their local belief and meshed it with Catholicism and created a new religion for them. That's what Catholicism does. It goes to different territories and take that religion and fuse it with Catholicism, right? And then form a new belief system and repackage it and give it back to the people. And they are what? Becoming agents of the Roman Catholic Church, right? So this is just a sample of his dictionary here. As you see here, sorry about that. You see Nzambi and Pungu, right? So this is what he's referring to. So the reason why he's saying that they already know this is because centuries earlier, these guys, missionaries, which is nothing more than agents, went into the territory and they began to push Catholicism. They began to push Christianity on the people by taking their local belief system and meshing it. Well, how did that work, Pastor? How did they do this? Well, they'll ask the question, do you have someone that you believe to be, above all your gods? You may have multiple gods, but who is the one that you believe is the supreme of all of them? And they get to say Nzambi. Okay, that's going to be equivalent to Yah. All right. Do you have a prophet? A top prophet? Okay, we're gonna make that equivalent to the Messiah. Hey, do y'all have what is the top spirit? Because many cultures have multiple spirits. Okay, we're gonna equate that to the Holy Spirit. That's syncretism. They created religion. They in a nutshell, push Catholicism by taking buzzwords of that local culture and infusing it with Catholicism. Right. So this is a quick source right here. I'm not going to read all of the other ones. I deleted them just to keep the presentation shorter. Right. Afro-Christian syncretism in the Kingdom of Congo. Thus, early Christianity absorbed Hellenistic elements through the vehicle of prophecy. When it says Hellenistic, this is dealing with Greeks. Through the vehicle of prophecy and divine revelation, as much as through a process of matching or exchanging core values. So too did the development of medieval Christianity and its engagement with the religions of Northwestern Europe. The question important in particular to those who study the Congo diaspora to the Americas of whether or to what degree the Congo were Christians is ultimately really a sectarian one over what constitute the core principles of Christianity. Throughout its history as a world religion, Christianity has incorporated outside beliefs from its origins, Jewish millenarian cult, to its wedding with Greek philosophy, Rome, state demands, Germanic customs, and so on. The whole history of the church has involved syncretism. So this is basically telling you here, just what I explained, a one or another sort. And fundamentalists in all eras have sought through its original text to locate or relocate their original unsyncretized religion. All right. So Nzambi and Pugu was never referred to as a high god until the usage of syncretism. All right. So let's go back to this letter here, man. There's some other stuff I want to point out. Your knowledge of the Gospels will allow you. This is King Leopold. He's telling the missionaries of the Catholic Church and the Christian missionaries as well. Your knowledge of the gospel will allow you to find texts ordering and encouraging your followers to love poverty. Come on, family. Have you noticed that? We've been programmed to love poverty. You've seen it. You grew up in the church. You don't have a testimony unless you look like you afflicted. You don't have a testimony unless you what? Love poverty. And look at the playbook. They have taught us to embrace poverty. Notice what it says here. Your knowledge of the Gospels will will allow you to find text ordering and encouraging your followers to love prosperity. See, that word gospel actually comes from the word gospel. Gospel is, they try to say, it's not try to say, when you look at the etymology of the word, right? They say Godspell is not the actual word. It's an error. It's actually Godspell. In other words, casting spells. And we see how King Leopold is casting spells. God's spell will allow you to find text ordering and encouraging your followers to love poverty, like happier. Here's the scripture that they're using as a charm, as manipulation. Happier are the poor because they will inherit the heaven. This is not in the scripture. It's not dealing with a financial financially. This is dealing with a spirit, the spirit of a person, someone that may be depressed. Happier are the poor because they will inherit the heaven. Spiritually poor, spiritually suppressed. It is very difficult for the rich to enter into the kingdom of God. Right? See the spell casting here. You have to detach from them and make them disrespect everything which gives courage to affront us. I make reference to their mystic systems and their war fetish, war protection, which they pretend not to want to abandon. And you must do everything in your power to make it disappear. So what they're saying here is the local belief systems, right? It's not a passive. It's not a belief system. Even though we may not believe in some of the cultures, the religions of the local people, but guess what? Their religion did not teach them to be docile, to be pushovers. But this, what King Leopold is saying, to infiltrate them and what? By way of trickery, witchcraft, manipulation, to make it so that way they abandon their fight, they abandon their discernment, that they abandon their local culture, and in favor of the manipulating religion that they're bringing to them. So your knowledge of the gospel will allow you to find texts. So purposely finding scriptures and abusing scriptures, and properly explaining those scriptures, misrepresenting the text to what? Out of manipulation, ordering and encouraging your followers to love poverty. Come on, family. You see how we love poverty? Come on, can we be real? We love poverty. We love poverty. We promote living in the projects. We think keeping it real, many of us living in the projects, living that hard knock life. Come on, family. Come on, family. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, right? Think about it. In the turn of the 90s, man, when Roughneck came out, got to get a Roughneck. Hey, what behavior is that? What's the appearance with that? We love poverty. Driving in a $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 car, living in the projects on Section 8. Come on, family. Love poverty. Love poverty. But we could get a 80-inch television screen and put it up on that wall. We could get a king-size bed that take up the entire apartment. Love poverty. That's what they taught us through religion, to love poverty. Matthew chapter 19, verse 23. This is what they're telling them to manipulate. Use the scripture and manipulate the people. Then say Yahweh Shai, Jesus the Christ, unto the disciples, verily I say unto you, that a rich man shall hardly enter into the kingdom of heaven. So making it clear, programming our people that, hey, if you get rich, it's going to be hard, man. Embrace being poor. Embrace being poor, because the more you have, the harder it's going to get. Fearing to what? Elevate in terms of advancement. Fear of wealth. Fear. Is there a reason why within 5 years, those that win the lottery are broke? All right. So look at Deuteronomy 28, verse 43 and 44. This is why I say they know these consequences. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. So again, he said you have to detach from them and make them disrespect everything which gives courage. Deuteronomy 28, verse 29. And thou shalt group at noonday as the blind groupeth in the darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in the ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. Let's go back to this letter here, another section of this letter. Just highlighting some key points here. We're not going to do the whole letter, but it says your action will be directed essentially to the younger ones. Doesn't that sound like the spirit of Babylon? Your actions will be directed essentially to the younger ones. Isn't that what Babylon did to to Israel? When you read the first chapter of Daniel, they targeted the young men, they targeted the young women, they targeted those that had specialties, they targeted the creme of the creme, and they took them, brought them into Babylon. And what? The whole process was to condition them, indoctrinate them with the Babylonian culture, gave them new names, had them go to their schools, and wanted them to eat their foods. Come on, family. Your actions will be directed essentially to the young ones or the younger ones, for they won't revolt when the recommendation of the priest is contradictory to their parents' teaching. So they saying, hey, they won't revolt. Target the young people. They won't revolt. They so young. They so naive. We could tell them teachings that we could give them opinions that's contrary to what their parents are teaching them, and they'll receive it. The children have to learn to obey what the missionary recommends. So the missionary are agents. The missionary, guess what? They're secret agents, basically. They're representing this agenda. The children have to learn to obey the missionary, what the missionary recommends. Who is the father of their soul? Wait a minute. So the missionary is the father of their soul. Forsake their own blood relatives, their own blood father, their own blood mother, and now embrace the missionary. Isn't that what's happening with our people now? This whole orphan nonsense. Right? Have a ministry. Oh, this is my spiritual father. Oh, this is my spiritual mother. Man, get out of here. Lose me with that. Lose me with that. We're still pushing their game plan. We're still pushing their playbook. We're still pushing their playbook. We're still operating in the spirit of the Babylonians. We're still operating in the spiritual Babylon. Come out of her. We got brothers and sisters that went to Africa and other countries, and they're still operating in Babylon. They may have left the United States, but they still plugged into Babylon, which is what? The religion. Family, this is no joke here, man. This is no joke. It says here, the children have to learn to obey the missionaries, what the missionary recommends, who is the father of their souls. You must singularly insist on their total submission and obedience. Avoid developing the spirit in the schools. Teach students to read and not to reason. Come on, family. Doesn't that sound familiar? Teach our people to read, but not reason. Everything we do is there. Have you guys noticed this here? Right? If you tell this truth to our brothers and sisters, they'll reject you. But let a Caucasian tell them the same thing you told them. They receive it. It's easier for someone from outside our community to tell our own people what you've already been telling them. That's part of this plan here. That is part of this plan. This is using religion to colonize the mind, the spirit, the mind, the will, the emotions of the person. Teach the students to read, but not to reason. Their dear patriots are some of the principles that you must apply. You will find many other books which will be given to you at the end of this conference. Evangelize to the, let me pull it up here, just for the sake of, YouTube. But it says here, evangelize to the who?
Nigger.
Right? Evangelize to who?
Nigga.
All right. So evangelize to the niggas so that they stay forever in submission to the white colonists or colonialists. Excuse me. Let me read that again. Evangelize to the niggas so that they stay forever in submission to the white colonialists. So they never revolt against the restraints they are undergoing, and that's self-checked. Recite every day. Here it is, manipulating through scripture. Taking scripture out of its proper context and using it as a form of manipulation. Recite every day. Happy are those who are weeping, because the kingdom of God is for them. Man. So children have to obey what the missionary recommends. Deuteronomy 28:32. The sons and daughters of the sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in the land. But this is what they're taking out of context. Luke chapter 6, verse 21. Blessed are ye that hunger now, for ye shall be fulfilled. But here's the kicker. Blessed are ye that weep now. See, this is how they've used religion to manipulate our people. See, we've been taught that resurrection occurs when you die. Things will get better when you die. Come on, family. Have you heard that before? Have you seen that behavior within our community? Shout outs to Young Brew. Thank you for the love and support. Really appreciate the ongoing support from you, my brother. Thank you again. Really appreciate it. Family, let's show some love for Young Brew. Really appreciate it, my brother, again. All right. So, family, that's how we've been taught about resurrection. Well, you know what? Just go through it. Just go through it. Just come up on that rough side of the mountain. But you know what? It'll get better when we resurrected. Have us pleading, have us embracing being tortured, being humiliated. But it'll get better for us when we resurrected. That is manipulation, as you see here. That is the spirit of Babylon, and that's what King Leopold is making it clear. Let them embrace being brutalized. So the Negas, so that they stay forever in submission to the white colonialists. Deuteronomy 28, 49, and 50. Yahweh will bring a nation against you from afar, from the end of the earth, which will swoop down like the eagle, a nation whose language you do not understand, a ruthless nation that will show the old no regard and the young no mercy. It shall devour the offspring of your cattle and the produce of your soil until you have been wiped out, leave you nothing of new grain, wine, oil, of the calving of your herds. But the key is, as we just highlighted here, this nation would, fierce, no heart, right? No mercy. That's their approach. Wicked. But let's go back here. Notice what else it says. Convert always the blacks by using whips. Wait a minute. Have us embrace being what? Brutalized. Have us embrace that. Get to the point where though we think we're not going through anything, or if we don't get beat, if we don't get abused. And a lot of these behaviors we handed down, or not we, but our previous generations handed down to us. Many of us had to go through these slave plantation beatings. Shout outs to Go Black to Africa, man. Go Black to Africa is doing some great things. Family, shout out to my brother Go Black to Africa. Go Black, doing some great things, putting some great content out there, family. And if you haven't, subscribe to his channel. This is my brother right here. I really appreciate this brother right here. And Go Black, we got to do some collaboration. We got to collab on a couple of things. Got some ideas, but really appreciate you, my brother. And I'm going to drop the link. Feel free if you ever want to jump in. Feel free to jump in. I'm going to drop the link in the comment section here. But really appreciate you, my brother. Because family, he's bringing a lot of information to the forefront. What I'm covering right here, he touched on this. He brought this to our attention about King Leopold's letter. So he's been bringing a lot of information to the forefront. So I really appreciate you, Go Black. So let me drop the link here. So if you want to jump on and share with the people, feel free to do so. But let me drop the link here. All right. So really appreciate you, my brother. Thank you for watching the live here. All right. So family, going back here, as we see here, it says here, notice this portion of it, man. This is straight hustle, man. Straight hustle. Wicked, man. Wicked religion, man. I'm telling you, convert always the blacks by using the whip. Keep their women in 9 months of submission. So this is what they're telling them to do. And it says to work freely for us. So here it is. The women be so dedicated. We see this all the time. We see it right now. That's the That's the playbook. 99% of the churches that you see out here is off the backs of the women. Have the women give all this time and effort to that assembly, and they get no compensation. They're doing it all for free. Convert always the blacks by using the whips. Keep their women in 9 months of submission to work freely for us. Notice what it says here. Force them to pay you in sign of recognition. Notice this here: goats, chicken, eggs, every time you visit their villages. So every time they visit the villages, right, the people, the women, giving them food that they don't have. They don't have to give it away. But this is what we see happening in the church right now. Attacks, right? Disguised as the tithe. The tax disguised as the tithe. And look at this. Force them to pay you in sign of recognition. Goats, pay homage to them every time they enter in. Give them goats, chicken, or eggs every time you visit their villages. And notice what it says here, family. That last sentence, it says, and make sure that the
real nigga roll call. Niggas, nigger.
Make sure that the
nigger
never become rich. Let me say that again. Make sure that the
nigga
never become rich. Make sure through religion that our people are so suppressed that we will never become wealthy. Never become wealthy. That's right, Pride of Judah. You have people getting loans for the church. That's not biblical. Going into debt for the church. I've said it to the people, especially when they were giving out stimulus checks and all that. I told them, don't give that to the ministry. I said, save your money, because a rainy day is going to come. You're going to need that rainy day. Those resources. You can see it on my YouTube channel. Facebook channel. I made it clear, and I think I said it over here too. I said, do not don't turn your lights off. Don't lose your livelihood. You sitting in the dark to make sure that the lights on are at the temple. No, Now, if we deal with the tithe in the proper application, pastors, having all these people, mainly the women, building up your ministry, the tithe in this proper usage was for the priests, was for the orphans, the women, those who don't have a heritage. So those workers that's laboring in that ministry, those women that's laboring in that ministry, guess what? Take care of them. Take care of the people that help build up that ministry. Stop fleecing the people. Come on, family. Paul had a job. He was a tent maker while he was doing all that work. He had a job. He had his own business, rather. The Messiah was a carpenter. Come on, family. Some of the disciples were fishermen. They had businesses. See, family, I work. I have my own. Right? I don't collect a salary. Never been a desire of mine to collect a salary from the ministry. Our ministry been in place for 14 years. Come on, family. I've gone on engagements, accepted engagements, speaking engagements in which I did not take from the house, and made it clear I will not take from the house. Pastor, we got to give you something. No, all right, this is what we do. I mean, I've had ministries. Hey, we got to give you this. Okay, all right, I'll take it from them, and then guess what I do? All right, young lady right there with the children, come on up. Here, I'm going to sow this into your life. Hey, young man over there. Hey, I'm going to sow this into your life. Come on, family. Anyway, let me stop. Let me continue here. But this is what the Roman Catholic Church is pushing here. Sing every day that it's impossible for the rich to enter heaven. Make them pay tax each week at Sunday Mass. So they're telling them, tax the people. They're not dealing with tithes. They're dealing with taxes disguised as tithe. So many leaders are dealing with taxes, but they use the word tithe. Make them pay taxes each week on Sunday Mass. Mass, where you get the word Mary. Right? Mass, Mary, right? Merry Christmas. Right? Or not Mass, but Mary, but Mass dismiss. That's what I meant. Merry, happy, Mass dismiss. Right? Every week at Sunday dismissal, which also means scattered. Mass also means scattered, right? Make them pay a tax at every Sunday dismissal, right? Think about that. Before they dismiss, make sure you get resources from them. Make sure you make it so heavy for them. Make sure you take up all their resources, right? Suck them dry, right? Notice what it says here. Use the money supposed for the poor, right? Use the money that's supposed to be for the poor to build flourishing business centers. Wait a minute. So you got T.D. Jakes, you got the Joel Osteen. Remember the whole thing with Joel Osteen when Katrina hit? Remember the ridicule he suffered? Right? Big, football stadium size places of worship, while the people around it are run down, driving $1 million cars while the people drive on a bus, $40 and $50 million homes while the people are living in apartments. Can't remember the white tele-evangelist, Kenneth Copeland, the first billionaire, the first tele-evangelist billionaire. Come on, family. Use the money supposed for the poor to build flourishing business centers. Institute a confessional system. Notice what this says here. Institute a confessional system which allows you to be good detectives, denouncing any black that has a different consciousness contrary to that of the decision maker. So now they becoming agents. Now they allowing you now to confess or tell them all your business, so that way they can smoke it out. They can deter any type of remotely, any type of glimpse of rebellion, any type of the slightest glimpse of independent thinking, the slightest glimpse of someone that going to make question, the slightest glimpse of someone is going to go against the system. Tell us, confess to us. That's what they're saying here. Make sure they understand confession. Teach thee, as you see here, right? Yeah, that's right. Creflo Dollar, right? Notice what it says here. Teach thee,
nigger,
right? Teach them to forget their heroes. Let me bring my brother here, Go Black here. Let me bring it in. Let me put a pause here. Got to bring my brother here. I really appreciate what Go Black is doing. Let me bring myself up here. Let me turn my camera on. Peace and blessings, my brother.
Hey, brother, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. I know it's a rare time we get to cross lines like this because of the time differences. But man, I really appreciate all what you're doing, man. You've been putting some awesome material out there, really opening up the eyes of the people. I even like that one that you did about showing slavery at the island that you went to. That you, I
Yeah.
think right now, right? Are you still there? Or did you?
No.
Okay.
At Seychelles, no, I was there. Goodness gracious, I was there last year.
Oh,
you
that's
know.
last year. Okay.
Yeah, I got about 12 to 15 countries I still got to put up. I'm behind, you know, but I'm just hitting these countries, man. And I decided just the other day, let me get these videos out, because you know each one of these countries have a piece of the puzzle to a story. And when I went to Seychelles, and I don't want to hold up, I really didn't want to call in because I didn't want to interrupt what you got, man. And you doing a great job, let me say, man. I follow, man, a lot of what you're putting out here, and I learn a lot too as well. Because if you don't know it or not, man, you are putting pieces to my puzzle together too. And that's what we do together in unifying, is that everybody is holding something and we got to let it out. Grandmom, granddad, somebody in your family may have shared something with you that got a piece of a history to bring clarity, whether it's in the religion that you're affiliated with, whether it's from the continent that you might be, whether it might be you be native to America. You know, these pieces of the puzzle brings clarity, and in that also brings freedom. And because truth shall make you free. And in the lie that we've been entangled in, like you're going over right now, that this mission that was put out here to beguile, bewildered, or to fool a people into having this notion that you can be poor, that you can just have a day to hope that one day this Christ is going to come save you, but yet embrace your impoverished lifestyle, embrace your lack of, embrace, you know, not having until the day comes. And it's so far from the truth. And so, yeah, what I put up for Seychelles, I didn't go a lot into it. I just showed the people. And I hope that people picked up on that. When we think that Africa didn't rise up against the colonizer, this is the king that I showed. This is what they were doing with those who uprised against. They would exile them out of their own countries and send them off. So they sent Ghana's king and his followers over to Seychelles, never to be seen again. And only those who complied with the colonizers in this whole thing of religion, politics, these were the ones who remained. You either died or you got exiled if you was leaders. And so I hope people picked up on that. But they had an interesting history. And let me say this right here in closing too. I'm going back to Ethiopia for the 4th time. You know, I really haven't gotten what I really wanted out of Ethiopia. And the Lord showed me I've been messing with the Orthodox, who have basically is handcuffing the truth. So I'm going to go to the Jews this go round. I got to go further north because they hold some of the original texts that haven't been translated into English. Like you're going through the Hebrew words, you know, and you're trying to break all this down. And so I'm going to go to them and sit at their feet and have them. I got a list of names and of names, and I want them to break down the true meaning of, so that we can bring more clarity, like you're doing through the Hebrew text. So I'm going back to Ethiopia, man, and because they hold some rich, you know, they're the ones who really have the oldest text of this Bible, if you will call it that. But here, I'll be gone 2 weeks. I'll be in Portugal, Spain, and Italy. So me and my wife are going to be there, and I'm going to be digging into Hopefully I get into their library. Hopefully I can connect with some historians to really show the presence of our people who were there, who were exiled as well out into where, when you saw I was in Sao Tome, to try to find Sao Tome and Angola, where they exiled our people out into, to include Cape Verde. I'm just trying to get those pieces, man, of the puzzle. So that's just a little update where I'm at. And yeah, you'll be seeing some videos that I probably traveled those countries here last year, but it's going to add to the puzzle. And please be mindful that these Catholics, which you're talking about, have done a horrific job against our people. You see it in Brazil. They're Catholics all the way. Angola, Catholics all the way. I showed when I was in Angola, these people are bowing down to the statues of Mary, to the statue of this Jesus. These people, are blind. The very words you're talking, and it's sickening, it's heartbreaking to see how deep it goes. You know, even our people in America, we think that we are these Christians that we put our names to, and yet we don't realize how far we are into it. That we got to get ourselves out of that.
Yeah, and think about this, Go Black, and I'm glad you said that because I touched on it earlier. Think about how warped and how deep the manipulation is, that in our community, we have so many that say they're Christian and that's their heritage. That's their identity. A word that was created out of slander. Now, the Messiah never called himself a Christian. You know what I mean? But now we have this construct that is being embraced by our people. They would rather hold on to that than their true identity.
Yeah. And I think that that is slowly dying. It's slowly dying. And the people like yourself who are illuminating one's consciousness to a truth, people are definitely waking up to see this. And you know, it's hard, you know, like here, you know, people always ask me, you know, the locals, any African country I go to, are you Christian? You know, and I say, no, I'm not Christian. And you know, people talk about persecution and stuff, you know, when you say you're not Christian, it's almost like saying that's taboo.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, you got the Muslims around here, like right now I'm in Tanzania, and you know, you got the Muslims and the Christians, and they get along just fine. But they want to know whether you a Muslim or you Christian. I'm neither. I'm neither in the sense of the name, but what you so-called practice, which is supposed to be of righteousness in the eyes of God or Allah. That's what I walk in. But what I see here, and you know, I'm not fearful of any man, and I let them know, I'm like, you guys practice. You haven't become it. You all on the outside, you wear your clothes. You like to proudly say you're Muslim. You do or Christian. You proudly boast your, you know, when the sounds of the mosque ring out, time for prayer. Allah Akbar. You know, and it goes ringing through the town. Everybody goes to their mosque and pray, and I don't browbeat them for that. Hey, you know, you're practicing that. But so many I meet are liars, cheats, thieves, scammers. And y'all say that you only, with your lips, you profess to be such a thing, but your hearts are far from it.
Yeah.
And we got to get away from this religious mindset. You are only practicing Christianity and only Islam and these other types of spirituality, but evil as they come.
And you know, to your point, and that's why I was teaching the people that when we understand true Babylon, it's religion.
Yeah.
Religion. And every nation has drunk of her cup.
Every nation has.
You have brothers and sisters that's leaving here to go to Africa, and they still bring in the religion with them.
Yeah.
You know, religion has really done a job on our people. And that's why I really appreciate you when you did that video on King Leopold, and you showed in that video a church, how the whole community is ran down, but the church looked good. You know, I mean, the people in poverty, but the church looked good.
Everywhere I've been, brother, where you see Catholicism at is the poorest of the poorest countries I've ever been in. It is amazing when I've been to Madagascar, you know, even Angola, when I see how the conditions of Brazil. I've been to South America, Medellin, Colombia, you know, I've been to Panama, I've been to Dominican Republic, I've been to Costa Rica. No, excuse me, I have not been to Costa Rica. I've been to Puerto Rico. When you see the Catholics, wherever the footprint of the Catholics is the poorest, most deplorable places I have ever seen. And you're hitting hard on it today about this so-called King Leopold, what he was telling, you know, teach these people. Rich is not the thing, or wealth or well-being, or poverty. Embrace that to them. It's bad to be have some sense of wealth or anything like that. And this is the deplorable state of these countries I've been in. That Catholic, man, I'm about to do another one about them, but it's going to probably be a few weeks. But anyway, man, I thank you for what you're doing. I thank you for the spirit you have and the discipline, you know, the endurance that you have, you know, and you know, I do whatever I can to try to continue, man, to, you know, share your message and your platform. And so I appreciate you, and I don't want to hold you up here in what you're, you know, going through with your presentation. So I appreciate you having me.
Oh, thank you, Go Black. Really appreciate it. And one thing I want to mention, I know you said you was going to Sao Tome, going into some of those areas. If you have any bonus material, feel free to let me know, because I'm working on part 3 to Road to Savannah. And this one I'm going to deal with my family's church that my great uncle pastored at. I'm not sure if you ever heard of it. It's a church down in Savannah where slaves wrote Hebrew on the pews back in the 17th century. The Most High blessed me to be able to transliterate a couple of the pews. So I'm going to share what the message really is. But they have symbols from Ethiopia. It's all through this church, and some of the writings that you see is what is called Sola Trail, which is a Spanish version of Hebrew, you know, Ladino. So I'm working on that. But
Is that the church that Henry Gates went down and did a segment and screwed it all up?
He screwed it up. It was terrible.
Yeah. I saw that segment in the that church there. I've been to Savannah several times, but I had not been to that church though. Yeah.
If you're ever in the country, let me know. We'll connect. And if you're down in that area, and I'm not down there, I can let them know that you're coming, and they'll let you come on in, set up your camera, record, and everything. But that is a national item that we don't even know. Most of our people don't even know. And I would say every time I go there, 99% Caucasians.
Yeah.
You know, so but yeah, if you have any if you have some bonus material that you may not be able to squeeze in, feel free to let me know. Or even if it's some things you want to share that you want me to include in the video, feel free to let me know, and I'll include it in the next video that I'm going to release in another month or two.
Okay, yeah. I might have some information for you, because there are also ties from them, from what your grandfather's church, I think you said, right there in Savannah. When I was in Angola, you know, a lot of people from Angola were shipped over to Americas too, and there's some connections that are there, you know, from the Angola region. You know, the Hebrew Israelites that were there, and sent over. So I got some information, and I can even tie you onto a brother who's there in Angola that he's doing some pretty good work out there that can maybe have some, share some connections there, which you have there and all that. But in closing, man, I got, like I said, I got some videos I'm gonna be bringing up, but it's amazing that how Angola, Sao Tome, their past has been erased. It's scripture where the Most High had made mention that you will lose who you were. You will forget. I don't know what scripture. Maybe you can hit on that, but a lot of them don't even know their past. That's been erased. A lot of them don't even know it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well, the 83rd book of Psalms also talk about how this crafty counsel, the whole goal is wiping away our memories, to wipe away our existence, that whatever is our reputation, they wipe it clean, wipe our names, wipe it from our remembrance. It said that they have taken counsel, they let out a war cry to rally themselves together to completely wipe out our memories, to wipe out our existence.
Yeah. That's happened. Well, I appreciate you, Pastor, and peace and blessings to you and yours. And hopefully, yes, we'll connect sometime here whenever I'm back there in that island.
Absolutely. But man, I appreciate all that you're doing. The family, those that are watching, if you're not subscribed to Go Black to Africa's channel, please subscribe to there, because if you're not, you're doing yourself a great injustice by not being subscribed to his channel, because he's doing what we need for this community. Someone that's putting out information, real truthful information, that's connecting the dots and helping us get an understanding of just how deep those tentacles, how far they stretch to keep us in a position that we are in right now as a community. So subscribe to his channel. Stay up to date with the projects that he has, and if you want to learn about different areas, he has it on his channel. Every area, and I didn't even know you had like a backlog, but he has every area you can think of. If you're planning on going to South Africa, whatever the case may be, or you just want to learn the do's and don'ts, he even had videos about the mistakes that many have made going over to Africa. The things, the baggage, the problems that they didn't deal with here, bringing it over there. So he has a lot of information. It's like a whole encyclopedia, a treasure trove of information that you can literally watch for probably a year and a half nonstop of the just amount of videos. So let's support my brother here. And again, Go Black, I really appreciate all that you do. And you've really been very helpful. And like I said, even with that King Leopold letter, man, it's an eye opener. As you can see, I'm teaching on it right now because of that. I mean, it's an eye opener. Yeah. But thank you again, my brother. Anything that we can do on our end, just show our support for you. Let me know if you need any editing. If I could help you out with any of the edits or anything like that, let me know. I'm here for
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you. And likewise. Take care, brother.
We'll do.
All right.
All right. Love you, man. Be blessed.
All right. Love you. All right. Be blessed.
All right, family. Peace and blessings. Shout outs again to Go Black to Africa. Really appreciate the brother's hard work. I mean, he is traveling. He's putting in a lot of work, family. So let's go and touch on a few more things before we wrap up, because I do want to highlight a couple of things that you didn't know about Vatican. But let me just highlight a couple more things here with this letter, and then we'll skip down to a couple of additional things I want to share. But notice what you see here. It says they want us to forget about our heroes and embrace theirs, right? Forget about their heroes and to adore only ours. Never present a chair to a black that comes to visit you. Notice this here. Never present a chair to a black that comes to visit you. Don't give him more than one cigarette. Never invite him for dinner, even if he gives you a chicken every time you arrive at his house. It's saying, hey, every time you come to his house, they bless you with all this food and everything. When they come to your house, don't give them a chair, right? Don't even invite them to dinner. You see the foolishness here, the wickedness here, the behaviors that, the influence that this have and still to this day. Think about what our ancestors had to go through and still going through. But again, keep their women in 9 months of submission to work freely for us. So family, again, Catholicism, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, those are all these systems are systems of harlotry, spiritual whoredom, and compromise that Yahweh hates, that the Most High hates. I'll say it again. All these religious systems, Catholicism, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, these are systems of harlotry. These are the systems that are constantly fleecing our people. These are the systems that are suppressing our communities. Most High is not pleased with them. Revelation chapter 18, verse 7 and 8. Notice what it says here. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow and shall see no sorrow. That's how puffed up these religions are. Therefore shall her plague come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire. For strong is Yahweh Elohim who judges her. So those who love the truth will be teaching the judgment of the harlot church, the destruction of the Roman Catholic Church, the Christian church, these Islamic mosques, these religious systems. So the date is set for the destruction of the city of Rome. The Most High have an appointed time. The scripture says she will be totally destroyed and there will be nothing left. It also tells of the destruction of the false religious system in its entirety, because again, Catholicism created Islam. So when we go to verse 21 through 24, and a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall the great city of Babylon be thrown down and shall be found no more at all. So the purpose for this judgment is repentance. These the children of these ungodly, evil survivors of the earth will not repent and turn to Yah. They will not repent. We see that today. We see that today. Because if they truly repented, we don't just need lip service. We need recompense. We need to be compensated. We need what's rightfully ours, reparations. Genesis chapter 12, the Most High through Moses told the people to demand reparations from the Egyptians. Reparations, the purpose of reparations is to break your dependency on the oppressor. So a lot of our ancestors, when slavery transitioned from that into sharecropping, right, the antebellum section, when you start getting into all of that, the reason why our relatives were preyed upon because they had no place to go. They were told that they were free. Can you imagine? All you know is a plantation, and they telling you you're free. So how did they swindle our ancestors? All right, well, you know what? You can stay where you are, but here, this is what we're going to do. We're going to enter into an agreement. We're going to make it so that way we're going to overcharge you for everything. So that way you're going to always be in debt to the plantation. Always be in debt. So instead of calling you slaves, they call you domestics. Come on, family. Come on, family. So a remnant of Israel and the population of the world will survive, not because we deserve to survive, but because Yah is merciful. So during these times, there will be several extremely gross behaviors, sins for which the ungodly need to repent for. And we see this in verse 17 and 18. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea stood afar off, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? Come on, family. Judgment is coming. A lot of this stuff has already happened. A lot of this stuff has already happened. We're a lot further along in the prophecies than what we think. This means that the mourning for Babylon is symbolic of the mourning that will take place worldwide. Right? It says she cried when they saw the smoke of her burning. Right? And so when we see the Greek word for call, notice what it says here: properly to croak, scream, to call aloud. Right? That cry, in other words, they were crying for vengeance, praying for vengeance. They see Babylon falling, and these nations, right, these merchants, they want vengeance. They're not crying for praise and worship. No, they're crying for vengeance. So what is it that the business and commercial people of the world, what will they mourn? What are they mourning? Right? They definitely mourning how to the fact that we are waking up. They want to keep us ignorant. They want to keep us in a place that we don't know. Revelations chapter 18, verse 19 through 22. And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city were made rich, all that the ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour she is made desolate. Do you know how much money, how much wealth that the Roman Catholic Church and other nations have made off of our people? Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for Yahweh hath avenged you on her. Verse 21, and a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, never to be found again. And the voice of harpers, musicians, pipers, trumpeters shall be heard no more at all, and there no craftsmen of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee. And the sound of the millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee. Then we go down to verse 23 and 24. And the light of the candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth. And it says here, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. Just as men go back to Africa, what we was discussing here. Sorcery, merchants, right? The crafty counsel. And in her was found the blood of prophets, the holy people. Remember, not saints, holy people, Israel. That's what it's referring to, Israel. Quadash, right? Or Quadashah in the Israeli Quadashim, right? And all that were slain upon the earth. So in her was found the blood of prophets, the blood of Yah's people, and all that were slain upon the earth. All right. So when we look at sorcery, look at this. Pharmakia, in other words, medication, pharmacy, magic, sorcery. So pharmakia, pharmacy. Look what's happening to our community. What was driving the pandemic, right? Start thinking about medication. Think about the manipulation of that in this country, right? Now you're seeing, just as you was back in the day, you'll see what I want to call it, a liquor store, a church on every corner. Now you're seeing a liquor store, a church, a Family Dollar, and a dialysis center. You see a dialysis center. Man, they're doing all kinds of wicked stuff in our communities. Expired medication. They're doing all kinds of all kinds of things within our community. Come on, family. Look what they did to our people. That's the thing we got to keep remembering. Look what they did to our people. So how does sorcery and perversion, how does this connect to Vatican? How does this connect to Vatican? Right? Look at what the word Vatican means. Roman hill. See, family, that's why I say, man, the Roman Catholic Church is Babylon. Look at what Vatican means. From Latin, mons, Vaticanus, Roman hill on which papal palace stands. Notice this portion here. By Klein sources said to be an Etruscan loan word and unrelated to Vates. But notice what it says here. Soothsayer, prophet, seer. A loan word, right? But notice what this says here. Hill of prophecy compared to vaticinatio, right? And if I'm butchering it, excuse me if I'm butchering this here. But notice what this says here. Hill of prophecy, right? So this is the woman that sits on the hill. It says hill of prophecy, which means a foretelling, soothsaying, prophesying, to foretell. Wait a minute. All of this is dealing with Vatican? Soothsayer, prophet, seer, foretelling, soothsaying, prophecy, foretell. So the word Vatican means the hill of the fortune tellers. Let me say that again. Vatican City means the hill of the fortune tellers. Let me say that one more time. I hope you guys caught that. Vatican City means the hill of the fortune tellers and the soothsayers. So when Vatican became the headquarters for Rome, for the Roman Catholic Church, they chose to keep the name. So what are some of the sorceries of Vatican? We'll cover a couple of them real quick. Now notice this here. Rome private guides revealing God's name, a secret hidden for centuries by the Vatican. In other words, purposely not putting his names inside these Bible translations. In 2017, Pope Francis felt that the Vatican needed to create a connection with the public, and he realized the need for deeper transparency. This led to his request to unseal a set of ancient scrolls from Vatican secret archives, scrolls that had been secretly concealed from the public for centuries, as it often happens with texts or art deemed threatening or too revealing by the church. Over the centuries, the church has destroyed many art pieces, books, ancient texts to protect its legacy. But that is what it says here. But that is a story I will share for another time. And this is RomanPrivateGuides.com, right? For now, let's look back at let's look back to a text that will surely fascinate you with its implications, as it will have you wonder about the motivations to keep it hidden, as well as about its meaning. The discovery of the scrolls in question dates back to 70 AD, when the Romans sieged the Temple of Jerusalem. Previously hidden from the knowledge of the church for centuries, these hidden scrolls were obtained in 463 AD and subsequently banned by Pope Hilarius for a very important reason. He aimed to keep the true name of God hidden from the people and had it stricken from all official literature. The scroll contains the true meaning of God as communicated to Moses in a censored part of Exodus 3:14. Ever since, the true name of God has been passed down from pope to pope as privileged secret knowledge and kept from laymen until Pope Francis decided to put an end to the double life the Vatican was leading by revealing the secret in 2017. But it goes on to say in Exodus 3:14, appearing before Moses as a burning bush, God reveals his name, referring to himself in Hebrew tongue as Yahweh. Now, family, we know it's Yahweh, but I'm not going to get into the translation because we know that each letter was pronounced as a syllable. Yahweh, not Yahweh. And this is go against even the word construct, how the words are put together in Hebrew. But anyway, which translates, I am who I am. All right. So in a nutshell, notice what this says. This is key right here. The church decided that the name needed to be replaced with the word God or Lord. And so Yahweh was stricken from all the passages. So that's the key. You see Lord and you see God. You don't see the Father's name. You see a transliteration of a transliteration. You see of the Messiah's name. You see Jesus, but you don't see the Father's name in the scriptures. You may see it like a couple of times, right? So here's the key, right? Vatican and hidden, it says, let me see here, was stricken from all the passages, and the scrolls were kept in the apostolic archives of the Vatican and hidden from public knowledge, as the name of God was to be known by the Pope only. Also, the New Testament. Guess what? There was no such thing. The New Testament, as far as the literature existed, but there was no label called the New Testament. There was no label called the Old Testament, right? That's what this is saying here. The term New Testament came into use in the 2nd century during a controversy among Christians over whether or not the Hebrew Bible should be included in the Christian writings as sacred scripture. So they were debating whether or not to have the law and the prophets included in their canonization of the text. Some other works which were widely read by early churches were excluded from the New Testament and regulated to the collections known as the Apostolic Fathers, generally considered Orthodox, and the New Testament Apocrypha, including both Orthodox and heretical works. So they were debating whether or not to include the law and the prophets, what has been labeled the Old Testament, right? So who was the first to use or coin the phrase New Testament, right? And we're dealing with, I'm not dealing with what some would say the New Covenant, the Old. I'm not dealing with that. I'm dealing with the canonization of the text itself. So notice this here. The term New Testament is a translation from the Latin Novum Testamentum, first coined by the 1st century Christian writer Tertullian, right? It is related to the concept expressed by the prophet Jeremiah that translates into English a new covenant. The time is coming, declares the Lord, when I will make a new covenant. That's a whole nother discussion. I get into the semantics. Renewed covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Tertullian was the first writer to use the term New Testament. Who is that? Tertullian family. So no, the canonization of the text did not include a New Testament section. It was the law, the prophets, and of course the testimonies of the disciples, right, to confirm the Messiah. Paul's letters were addressing situations at different assemblies. But that New Testament, Old Testament, that was not during the time of the Messiah and his disciples. Right? And then when the writings, when their testaments, when they wrote down their testimonies or their testaments, guess what? They did not call it a New Testament. All right. So that's what this is saying here, right? Chapter of the letters to the Hebrews, in which the old covenant is portrayed as inferior and even defective, right? Indeed, many Christians consider the old covenant with the Jews to be obsolete. So these things have influence. When you say New Testament, then you automatically think of Old Testament. And these terms are not biblical. All right. But anyway, here's some other sorceries. I know I'm covering a lot. Just trying to get all of this in as we get ready to wrap it up, right? What are some sorceries of Vatican? Let's give some additional sorceries. This is the letter of indulgence, right? I'm not going to go into all of this, but in a nutshell, this is where you get the building fund. When you see ministries have building funds, it comes from here, right? Reduce any punishment that they would receive in the life of in this life or purgatory. So all this is a certificate of indulgence. People can actually give money to the church, and that was part of their building fund, right? To build their cathedrals, that they can pay and get out of jail free card and do whatever they want to do. That's why they call it the letter of or certificate of indulgence. All right. That's all this is. All right. And this is actually the reason why the Protestant Reformation movement began, because of the letter of indulgence. They had an issue with that letter. All right. So that's what this is saying here. Not going to get into all of that. And then this particular source here is just telling you the power, the authority that the Pope has, according to the Roman Catholic Church, that the Pope is supposedly the heir of Peter. Peter's supposed to be the first Pope, which is completely out of left field. That's not biblical. And vicar, in other words, substitute replacement of Christ over all human authority. So both spiritual and temporal. So this is saying that the Pope has power over all, from the spiritual and temporal, right? And you'll see the influence here, because you'll see that it makes it clear the papacy, the Pope, they only answer to, according to them, God. No one can hold them accountable. It has so much power, as you see here, right? As you can see here, they installed emperors. So there's a lot to unpack with the Roman Catholic Church and their influence on government, the influence on leadership, how they were so embedded in the way of life and decision making. So the Pope went on in 1303. I'm just making up stuff now. 1303 to confirm the disputed choice of Albert Habsburg as Holy Roman Emperor and announced that the emperor was overlord over all nations. So the Pope installed a emperor whom he had power over. All right. So under the ultimate supremacy of the Pope. So here's some additional ones. Rome, some call the whore of Babylon, right? The papists, right? The papists of the tarot cards, often called Pope Joan. Now, Pope Joan is a story about a female pope. They say she didn't say it's just a folklore, a folk tale, but nevertheless, the key is I want to really highlight is this is just giving some information on her, right? But notice this song right here, a woman pope, right? As history doeth tell, in high procession, she is in labor fell, and was delivered of a bastard son. Thence Rome, some call the whore of Babylon. Thence Rome is some called the whore of Babylon, right? Rome is called the whore of Babylon, right? And actually, this is an image of, this is a tarot card, right? With her image on there. So that's what I want to highlight here. As you see here, the papists of the tarot cards were often called Pope Joan when the first tarot deck was being produced. Joan's pontificate was universally accepted as historical fact. The card papist, tiered tiara, right? So this is just giving you more information on it. All right. But another thing I want to highlight here is the perversion here. This is the part I want to highlight here. It says here, because to ensure that there was no females, popes, no females in the ranks, right? Look at what what they would stoop to, right? The cardinals and all. Candidates for the papacy had to seat themselves naked on a stool, on an open stool, to be viewed through a hole in the floor by cardinals in the room below. So here it is. You have these candidates for papacy sitting in a room naked, sitting on the floor with holes in the floor. So the cardinals in the room below, right? They below this room, right? The committee had to make it official announcement. Its official announcement. Testiculos habet et bene pendentes. In other words, that this man and they confirmed that this man had, male reproductive organs. I'll just say it like that. See the perversions here? Crazy. Here's some additional sorceries and perversions. Here's another one. Mithra, this is interesting here, family. Mithra's cave temple on Vatican Hill was seized by Christians in 376 AD. Christian bishops of Rome preempted even the Mithraic priest title of Pater Patrum, which became Papa or Pope. So even the term Pope or Papa comes from the Mithra, the Mithraic high priest. As you see here, Pater Patrum or Pater Patrum, Papa Pope, right? That's what this is saying here. All right. Notice this here. Mithra was born on on the 25th of December, called Birthday of the Unconquered Sun, which was finally taken over by Christians in the 4th century AD as the birthday of Christ. All right. So I know I gave you a lot of information, family, and I could have put more in it, but I tried to, tone it down because I know it's a lot of information to share. I know this is going to be a lot for you guys to unpack as you go back and revisit. But man, I just wanted to give you a glimpse of the perversions of Rome. It's a lot more that I can touch on, but I just didn't want to go too deep for the sake of time. And want to say again, family, appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight. I'll drop the link here real quick. If anyone wants to jump on real quick, stay on topic, and then we'll wrap up. But stay on topic. Let's not get into other discussions, but let's stay on topic if you want to jump on before I jump off. All right. So let me go ahead and set this up here. All right. So really appreciate, again, Go Black for jumping on, and family, go back over and listen to the video, watch the video. We're going to go even further and go deeper with the letter. We're going to go deeper with the letter. There's a lot more to unpack with that letter, man. I'm telling you, that letter really exposes religion, exposes the agenda for our people to stay in a certain disposition, to stay in a certain point, a level of being the have-nots, to manipulate the true meaning of what it means to be resurrected. So I'll say it again. Resurrection doesn't start when you die. It starts while you're alive. When you really understand Ezekiel chapter 37, alive. All right. All right. How you doing, sis?
Hi, how are you? I'm well.
That's
How are
great.
you?
That's great. I'm doing good. I know I'm going overtime here, but I'm doing great.
Well, you have put so much on my mind, and I am just so grateful for this lesson. Thank you so much. And I was thinking about what you were saying about the Catholic churches, and I started thinking about the Catholic churches where I live. And it's so funny how you see things and you know it, but you hear someone make a point and it just brings it like fully into clarity. Around the Catholic churches where I live, you will always find multiple houses of ill repute, multiple places where people are selling illicit substances. You will always find where people, and in my opinion, and from what I've been seeing growing up and now coming back as an adult, we're always talking about this trafficking business and things like that. And there's always stories about women being brought here under, questionable circumstances, like they're thinking they're coming to work as maids or as nannies, and then they end up in these houses and everybody's hush hush about it, but it's an open secret kind of thing, and the police know, and you hear the stories from them, really. And you think about, why is this all happening like literally right next door? Like you don't even have to throw a stone. You can literally just put your hand out and touch it. You know what I mean? And so
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go make your point.
Oh, no, you're hitting it on the nail. And unfortunately, we don't just see this behavior with the Roman Catholic Church.
Yeah.
If you look at even churches from our people,
yeah,
look at the surrounding area.
Mm-hmm.
Look at a lot of these large ministries and look at the surrounding area.
Mm-hmm.
Many of these large ministries, they pride themselves at going over to Africa to do a work.
Yes.
But they bypassing the homeless that are right in their neighborhood.
Yes.
They bypassing, the rundown buildings, apartments, the stores, all those things in their own neighborhood.
Sometimes they own those rundown buildings and stores, and we are shocked to find out later on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So So to your point, I just want to add to that we see this behavior being promoted among our community, within our community.
Yeah, and I was learning. I'll just make a couple other points. I was learning that when we think about our people and the circumstances that we're in and how we're labeled and the bywords we are given, and sometimes we take on for ourselves, and it's really spiritual warfare. It is psychological, it is emotional warfare, and we need to start calling it that, because that's what it is. That's how you break somebody, and that's how you turn them from knowing who they are. And I was it was brought to my attention. I forgot where I heard it. I wish I could remember, but there's this Black's Law Dictionary. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
In that dictionary, it says it gives the definition, the legal definition for a white person. Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't heard of it.
Oh, brother, you need to look at it. It's the Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition. And that's what, when people come to the United States and take the naturalization test, the immigration test to become citizens, this is the definition of white person that they use to then say whether this person is white, black, whatever designation we're going to give them in terms of race. And do you know Black Moors are listed under white person?
Oh yeah, that I know. That portion I know, because even with Indians or Muslims, even Egyptians that look like you and I, they get classified as being white.
Right. And
that
that's
ties
why.
into statistics, and it's the numbers as well. It's a lot that goes with it, because I've talked to someone from Egypt, and he was complaining. He was saying he was forced to take on the white label.
Right. There's a whole book about it, and I forget the brother's name that wrote the book. He's an educator. I believe he was a professor. I'm not sure if he's still alive, but he wrote a whole book about it. And it's just, I'm sorry, I can't remember what it is right now. But yeah, he was talking about he is not white. He is a Nubian, and they literally almost wrecked his life. They really gave him a psychological problem, and I think he lost a job, and he just went through it trying to tell this government to stop labeling him as white legally. Stop doing that. He's not white. And when you look at him, he looks like us. It's crazy. And I think about how we were enslaved, and if they know who we are, and if you're going to write that Black Moors are white, then what is this? And then we learn about all these statuses that they gave us, and some of our people were listed as white, some of our people, and then we overlook it on the slave, on these not slave, but the manifestos from these ships, and these people were not white, and we have to really start looking at ourselves and redefining legally what that means. I mean, it's just so insidious. And when you think about King Leopold and all that he did, so you know what you're doing to us, you know who we are, and you list us as whites, and then you may enslave us. And then you tell us we have not contributed anything to this world. Well, we're not white, but that's your status, and that's how you get around saying that, oh no, these are not the people that I have enslaved.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you see how they labeling things right now before us,
Yes.
and we just have to be careful of not just going with the flow.
Right.
Because even that term Negro, right, has there's a reason for that word.
Yes.
By changing it from Negro to African American, forfeits, right, things that was set aside for those that claim to be Negroes.
And it's so you change us from Hebrews, and you change us from Moors, and you change us from Negroes, and you see what I'm saying? It's all the same people. And I always thought that Moors were the Ishmaelites until I was reading a couple books, older books, and I was like, wait a minute, they mean us. They don't just, and then I started thinking, well, it would make sense, because what faith was Ishmael? He wasn't a Muslim. He was a Hebrew. So these are our people we're talking about. And I think if we would learn more, and I'm so grateful when you do these teachings, because it brings a lot of things back to me. I was listening to this Indian lady. She was Native American, because she's not an Indian. She she was really angry because she was trying to make the point that, oh, we're not Hebrew and we're not black and we're not this and we're not that. She says, our language is from the Russian steppes. And I started laughing because who migrated to the Russian steppes? Hebrews after the Persian invasion and captivity back in the 500s and 600 BCEs. So I'm saying, if you're saying your words are from the Russian steppes, lady, you need to take a second look, because you don't even realize what you're saying. Look at all the Byzantine arts and the Russian icons, and then you look at the iconoclasms where they literally took our images and painted them over. It's called image breaking, for religious or political reasons. And we really just need to get a hold of who we are and teach our children, because this is insidious what the church has done, which has now come right forward. And you're right about who is still doing it. It's still the Caparotis and their descendants and their minions coming around. It's still the Vergüenza. It's still the Auto de Fe. It's still the same. It's the same thing as the Spanish Inquisition, just in present day. And we're not seeing it for what it is. Ron DeSantis is just Woodrow Wilson in another form, because he did the same thing with education. Rewrote all the books to the point where Yale had to come out and take his name off their building and say they no longer support what he did. Like their president some years ago had to literally come out and make a public statement about it.
Yeah.
But those are the things I just wanted to mention. I just wanted to thank you so much for sharing all that you did, because you brought all this up in my spirit. So thank you so much.
Oh, well, I appreciate you for watching the channel. Thank you for even jumping on tonight. I know it's late, but thank you for jumping on and sharing your thoughts. And before you sign off, anyone you want to throw into the garbage can?
I want to throw the idea and the thought process that we have not contributed to this world and that we are not who we are. I want to throw that thought that we are not Hebrews, that we are not Moors. I want to throw that thought process into the garbage can.
I'm on. Here we go. Did my garbage can show look like my garbage can?
See that? I love to see that in the guy dancing.
For some reason, it's not showing on my end. So
I saw it.
That's why I had to press it a couple of times. Okay.
Thank you so much, brother. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you, sis. Thank you for this love and support. And until our next live, see you again. Appreciate you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Don Dada.
What's going on, Pastor?
How's it going, Don?
What a day. What a day. From your message earlier to this one, I'm going to tell you, I really appreciate the teaching and so forth and so on. Because, I went on silent mode with my family. I'm like, okay, if y'all ain't going to receive the truth, then I'm just going to keep it pushing. And it's funny, my aunt called me tonight, right when you and Go Black started talking. So I got to go back to that. And I love the way the Most High directs me, because I see my family, my community, by who's interacting with who's watching who. You understand what I'm saying? So I know I'm in the right place. I know I'm in the right place with the right people. I don't mess around with them costume clowns and all them other folks, man, because the Most High is really giving clarity in these final times as we watch more and more things occur that look like they line up with the prophecy of what the Most High was telling us. And so I really appreciate that, your teaching. And then you said something at the end that I missed, but it was really important. It was at the end of your teaching. You had said something, trying to remember what it was about, but it was important to me because there's various different topics that stay on my mind. And when I hear somebody talking about it, and it's usually somebody I trust because that's the only people I watch, it perks my ears up. It's almost like a dog whistle. It's like, let me go see what they're talking about, because that fits within the things that I'm looking for based on scripture. But yeah, I love the fact that like I said, the teaching was really good tonight. And for people that don't have a long attention span, I feel sorry for you, because you're gonna miss a lot. And I know you try to break your lessons down and you don't get to include everything. So it becomes an ongoing saga. But the thing about it is, man, I can see how those people were drawn to Mashiach and they would be there all day, because, wow, the truth is just so attractive. It's not even funny. And for those who really are seeking the truth, you'll find it, because the fruit will be very, very, very attractive. And then you'll find out the fruit is real once you sample it. But you got to sample the fruit. That's called testing the spirits. So anyway, I'm not going to be long-winded. I'll land my plane there unless you want to have a dialogue with me, Pastor.
And I definitely appreciate you jumping on. Appreciate the love and support. And yeah, I'm about to call it a wrap. You probably could see it in my eyes, right? Normally when my eyes get like this, really I have a 2 to 2.5 hour threshold, and I'm not well beyond that. You know what I mean? So I'm ready to just take it down. But definitely appreciate you, Brother Don, for jumping on. And I plan on doing more of these lessons, just to help our people really understand some of the foundational things that we should understand, especially when it comes to understanding the text. It's much needed, much needed. But anyone you want to throw inside the garbage can before we wrap it up?
Man, the whole ADL organization, just put them all in there.
Absolutely.
All right, Pastor, you have a great night. And
all right, appreciate it, my brother.
I pray the Most High will bless your sleep, and that you would have sleep, and slumber, and be refreshed for tomorrow's challenges. Most High bless, Pastor.
Likewise, appreciate it, my brother. Have a blessed night.
Appreciate it.
All right, family, really appreciate the love and support. I know we covered a lot. Really appreciate Don, and I just really appreciate everyone jumping on. Go Black. I really appreciate the love and support for jumping on as well. So really appreciate my sister. Really appreciate everyone for jumping on, and thank you for hanging out with us to the wee hours of the night. And so I encourage you guys to hit the like, subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I also want to say, hey, share the video, go back over and watch the video, because I know it's a lot of information that I shared. But go back over and watch the video, and encourage everyone. Let's get those likes up to 250, at least 250 likes. We're sitting at 239. Let's get those likes up to at least 250. That will help with the algorithms and get us out of this this what I want to call is shadow ban things that YouTube tend to do. So really appreciate it, family. And until we do our next live or my next upload, I'm working on an upload right now that I'm going to try to upload tomorrow. And or if not, I'll upload it by Monday. But nevertheless, in the words of the Messiah, matter of fact, excuse me, in the words of the Most High, the words that he gave to Moses in Exodus chapter 12, verse 13 and 14, he said, "Fear ye not, stand still, see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today, they will never have power over you ever again. The Most High will fight for you." But here's the kicker, family. We have to hold our peace. Can't go back. Can't stay here. Keep moving forward.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was black. Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was the... Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.